All right, good morning. 6:28. It is First News Keeler in the morning here on WIBX. Jeff Manaski and your man Uncle Smitty filling in as Bill is away today. We do expect Bill to be back tomorrow. We played the segment there from Ryan Nobles there with NBC News, and that's where we pick things up today because what happened yesterday was Iran did bomb, or did attack, I should say, oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, and it looks like oil is kind of shut down. It's now back over $100 again after reaching $110, I want to say last week sometime. It dropped down to about 84 yesterday, and now it's back up over 100, and I think there is an oil tanker anyway that is still on fire. We're about to be joined by Jonathan Savage from Fox News Radio for the latest on this. But obviously not a good situation, and it'll make you worry and wonder about your oil prices. Look, energy is very important, to say the least, and crude oil especially, because it does so much for us as far as being made for gasoline. And anytime the price of gas goes up, the price of everything else goes up as well, because almost anything, unless it's grown or produced locally in your community, the way it gets to a store shelf, to a shop or a local grocery store, a Walmart, I mean, it's, for the most part, I know there are obviously still local grocery stores, but any store really in your community, whether it's local or a chain, unless it was grown or produced, manufactured locally, it's getting there by truck. So when gas prices go up, the price of everything goes up. President Trump now saying the U.S. military operation against Iran can be described as both an excursion and a war. Speaking during a visit to a pharmaceutical company in Cincinnati yesterday, the president said the mission is preventing a broader conflict for the United States, even as Iran treats it as a full-scale war. Meanwhile, Pentagon officials report the first 6 days of the operation have already cost them more than $11 billion. We just talked about gas prices, and again, we'll talk more about the Strait of Hormuz coming up in a minute. Gas prices climbing across the country. The national average for a gallon of regular fuel now at $3.59. That's sharply up from $3.25 just a week ago, about $2.94 a month ago. President Trump says he would support YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul if he ever decides to run for political office. So, okay, these two stories are bleeding into each other. I don't understand. It's bizarre, some of the questions that he takes or he gets asked. I'm not blaming the president, but I mean, whether an excursion or a war, there's a lot going on right now. We still have a partial government shutdown, and people are asking about Jake Paul running for political office. I don't understand.
Well, yesterday when he was giving the speech in Ohio, there was a lady with a medical episode. Dr. Oz jumped into the crowd and saved this lady. I don't know what the extent of the medical issue was, but Dr. Oz.
Oh, great. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll still get bad press for it being a member of the Trump administration, though. The story will be that Dr. Oz tried to kill the woman, and she was saved by some woman, by some other person.
She was saved by RFK.
Well, I don't know about that either. All right, so we're just waiting for Jonathan Sanchez to clock in. While we do that, a story that caught my eye. It's a bizarre story because I didn't understand it at first, but once you look at the spelling, it makes more sense. Katy Perry has come up short in a legal battle against an Australian designer by the name of Katy Perry. Katy Perry, the designer, spells her name Katie. Of course, Katy Perry, the musician, spells it Katy. The musician, Katy Perry, was suing for actually over 15 years now, had been suing this Australian designer named Katy Perry, basically saying she couldn't have a fashion brand under that name, saying it was her logo and that her design, her brand, and that she had copyrighted it. However, an Australian high court ruled that designer Katy Perry's, Katie, does not violate singer Katy Perry's trademark. So designer Katy Perry says, without this hanging over my head right now, she's happy. It's been going on since 2009. It's a heaviness, lots of fear, and lots of limbo about her future. She says now she can start looking forward and focusing on the future, and she is really excited. And actually, they're not twins, but the designer Katy Perry kind of looks a little, from far away anyway, like she could be singer Katy Perry. So apparently that has been solved. We go to the phone lines now. Fox News Radio's Jonathan Savage is joining us from London. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hello, good morning.
Global energy concerns mount as cargo traffic has been stopped in the Strait of Hormuz. I also understand there is a tanker, or maybe more than one, was set afire after an attack by Iran. What can you tell us?
Yeah, 2 tankers set alight. They were hit by an unknown projectile near Iraq. We understand that one person on board one of the tankers was killed. It was headed for India at the time. Another ship, a container ship, was hit by an unknown projectile near the UAE. Now, for talks of unknown projectiles, everyone is thinking that this is just more attacks by Iran, which has targeted commercial shipping and energy infrastructure across the Gulf. They've effectively shut down traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil transit routes on the planet. The result of all this is that oil prices have surged again above $100 a barrel. Iran is threatening that we should prepare for oil at $200 a barrel. Governments across the world are scrambling to prevent a global energy crisis. Now, President Trump says he expected an increase in oil prices. He says it's a matter of war that happens, but promises they will come down more than anybody understands.
The president had also said maybe, I don't know if this was in a tweet or if he said it in front of a microphone, but basically, be brave. You can still go through there. And there were also some talk of U.S. vessels, whether they be military or otherwise, escorting cargo ships. Has that happened? Will that happen?
It hasn't happened yet. The United States has authorized possible naval escorts for shipping, and G7 nations are discussing convoys to protect tankers from moving through the Gulf. But for all these promises and these discussions, none of that has actually happened yet. The response from governments has been to put more oil on the market. The U.S. has authorized 172 million barrels be taken from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and on top of that, the International Energy Agency has authorized the release of 400 million barrels from its strategic reserves, the biggest coordinated energy intervention ever. But we have to put that in context. 400 million barrels of oil is what the world uses up in 4 days.
So we're about 100, obviously 100 million barrels a day. So are there, you mentioned one of the crew members on one of these oil tankers was killed. Do we know how many crew members are on a ship that size? And if these tankers are burning, are they still on the ship? Have they been rescued? What can you tell us there?
Okay, so we don't have too much information about these ships today, but by comparison, I can tell you about another ship that was hit off the coast of Bahrain, which was a container ship, so similar to in size possibly to some of these ships. On that one, there were 23 people on board, so perhaps it's a similar number on the vessels which have been hit today, and they were safely rescued from that ship off the coast of Bahrain. So what we know is that one of these ships hit today was struck by a white-coloured unmanned speedboat carrying explosives, which rammed into it, resulting in a major fire on board. We do know, actually, I'm just seeing the very latest, one person was killed on that ship. The rest of the crew were rescued. I don't have a number for that, though.
Gotcha. And then that boat that was apparently loaded with explosives, do we know, was that remotely sent, or was this like a suicide mission? What are they, was it the Japanese planes used to do, the kamikaze flight? Do we know if this was a manned boat?
We're told that it was unmanned, so it was purely carrying explosives, so remotely controlled. I mean, drone warfare from the skies we've talked about a lot, haven't we? And we've seen that a lot.
Sure.
One of the main aspects of this. So this is essentially drone warfare on the seas as well.
Yes. All right. Fox's Jonathan Savage, thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Boy, I tell you, this gets scary too. And we talk about how the cost of everything goes up anytime there's a disruption in oil. And I don't know how long this is going to last. Obviously, we got a little bit of a break. There were a couple of ships that passed through the strait. As I mentioned, the price of a barrel of oil had dropped down to almost $84 a barrel yesterday. It's back over 100 now. I understand that's only $15, but there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty. And as I look here at some photos of this explosion, obviously an oil tanker is almost like a bomb in itself because it's got that fuel on it. But some of these photos, it looks like it was hit with like a major missile. As Jonathan described, it was a small white unmanned boat that was loaded with explosives. Obviously, it was remotely controlled to crash into one of these oil tankers. And I don't know what the answer is here going forward. I'll be interested to hear what the latest is from the White House and the president, how they plan to handle this, and whether or not they will use military or other vessels to I don't know how they would provide safety. I understand if it's being attacked by another boat, for instance, like a boat that's got pirates on it, and they want to get on top of get on the boat, take it over, and do it in that manner. Certainly being provided security by a U.S. vessel or by U.S. troops or whatever the case may be. I could see that working, but not if they're going to remotely run boats into the side of ships with bombs loaded to them and explode them. And I don't know, again, the president had said something along the lines of, we encourage these operators of these tankers to be brave and to go through the strait. And he was offering some level of protection. But again, in itself, that is like a bomb. It's loaded with all that oil. And I certainly wouldn't want to be on one of those ships either. I think it's going to take more than a bravery to get oil in and out of the strait. And obviously that's going to continue to have an impact on us. Smitty, what's the highest you've seen for a gallon of gas lately?
I was in Madison County last night. I seen $3.49.
$3.49 is the highest I've seen. I saw $3.49 though. I think it was Friday or Saturday when one of our gas stations, now we got a Fast Track and a Burn Dairy here, and one of them was at $2.89 and the other one was at $2.99. And even driving around the area, I was seeing as high as $3.49, and that's obviously a 60-cent difference. That's a significant spike. I haven't seen above $3.49, but I expect it's going to rise past that after what happened yesterday and what we're talking about here this morning.
Yeah, and like I said, I was in Madison County last night because I'm a rural traveler, Jeff.
A rural traveler?
Yeah.
What were you up to?
A world traveler.
Oh, a world traveler. A world traveler. What were you doing? Madison County isn't that far away, and I'm sure you know that.
I went out to watch the basketball games.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. So what games did you take in?
The night games.
ACC tournament?
Yeah.
And who won?
I didn't really. Florida State beat California, and I was just getting ready to watch Wake Forest and Clemson. Then I started it was past my bedtime, so I told the person who I was hanging out with, said, "Gotta go, gotta get up early."
Yeah. Did you make any wagers there yesterday? No.
No.
Do you typically bet on the college games you watch?
Not really. I just go to hang out and watch the games. I like watching them all.
Well, Scott in Kirkville there.
That's who I go hang out with.
I figured it was, but he didn't have a hot tip for you on who you should pick? He
did earlier in the afternoon, but I didn't take it. It was Arizona State and Iowa State. I didn't. He called me like 11 o'clock and said, "Get in on this," but I didn't.
All right, coming up, we'll talk with Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers about the latest on the FBI terrorism investigation and what authorities are calling an ISIS-inspired attack. This was the situation in New York City outside of Gracie Mansion where they were literally launching bombs as a protest was going on. As a matter of fact, I saw a video yesterday with one of the protesters who was chanting and yelling about, I guess they were counter protests, and this guy one of the bomb throwers, literally used him as like a spring. He ran up to the guy almost like you would leapfrog somebody, jump and put your hands up on their shoulders and then try to hop over their head. He kind of jumped up on this guy's shoulders and launched this package, which apparently was a bomb. We'll talk more about that and get the latest from Fox's Tanya J. Powers coming up in just a few minutes. We're back after this on WIBX. We have mostly cloudy skies, and currently we are at 32 degrees. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 6:43. Iran is outlining 3 conditions to end the war with the U.S. and Israel. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, I'm not saying that correctly, posted on X that the only way the war will end is if the U.S. and Israel acknowledge Iran's legitimate rights, pay compensation for damages already done to the country, and provide strong international guarantees to prevent future attacks. Officials say downplaying the threat after the FBI reportedly warned California police about Iran targeting the West Coast to retaliate for U.S. attacks on their country. The alert issued at the end of last month said the FBI had information about Iran wanting to launch unmanned drones in a surprise attack in the event that the United States would strike. President Trump is going after the Kentucky Republican who led the push to release the Epstein files. Trump spoke at a rally Wednesday in the Kentucky district of Congressman Thomas Massie, who had called for the government to release all of the files on the late sex offender and was also one of the only 2 Republican lawmakers to oppose Trump's massive spending bill. Costco is looking to the federal government for refunds now that the Supreme Court has ruled President Trump's global tariffs were illegal. A Costco customer is suing the company to get refunds for customers who paid higher prices. Costco's CEO said last week that the company was looking into ways to pass refunds on to customers. Some football news for Giants fans. Steve Tisch is giving up co-ownership of the New York Giants after the recent release of an Epstein email. Tisch is asking the NFL to allow him to transfer his 23% stake in the New York Giants to his children. This comes after the 77-year-old was outed for asking late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein about a, quote, working girl, end quote, in what the New York Post says was a series of damning emails about women. And pool play at the World Baseball Classic wrapped up on Wednesday. Italy beat Mexico 9-1 to clinch the top seed in Pool B and will play Puerto Rico in the next round. The win also clinches a spot for Team USA in the quarterfinals. The Americans will take on Canada on Friday. Boy, some boneheaded mistakes, I think, by Mark DeRosa. He thought they were in, and I think he altered the pitching rotation and the starting lineup, thinking that Team USA had already clinched the next round, and they hadn't. And, boy, that would have been an embarrassing mistake. Is that Tanya on the line? All right, we'll skip the forecast for right now. Let's go so she doesn't have to wait. Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers is in New York City. Good morning, Tanya. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. What is the latest on this? Is this the ISIS-inspired, outside of the mayor's residence there, Gracie Mansion? What can you tell us?
At this point, we know that there has been a kind of a link, I guess, from these 2 guys who were arrested and charged in this, and a Pennsylvania storage facility. That's where they did the controlled detonation of a device that they found there yesterday when they searched it. This is, maybe it was on Monday. I think it was on Monday that they actually searched this. But the interesting thing that I'm seeing today is we have a story on Fox Digital, foxnews.com. They've done this story. They just posted it within the last hour. And it's an interview with this, he's a vice president and general counsel for Phantom Fireworks. And hang on, and I'll connect these 2 things in just a second.
Sure.
It appears that they have, I guess this is a chain. I don't buy a lot of fireworks, and I'm in the city where we don't have fireworks stands. So forgive me, you may have one up there, and I'm just not aware. But apparently it's a chain, and there are different locations in different spots. One is in Pennsylvania, where apparently one of the 2 men charged in this ISIS-inspired terror attack bought a fuse. And the reason this is so interesting is because they were able to find the video and the receipt that's time-stamped down to the minute of where he purchased this rather quickly. Apparently, he purchased this on the 2nd of March, 5 days before this attack. So apparently, they had been planning this, according to, law enforcement, officials who've spoken kind of off the record, I guess, but not off the record, but as sources. They've been planning this for several days, it seems. This was not a night before situation, apparently. And the Phantom Fireworks folks heard about this and immediately started searching their database. Evidently, they started doing this because this is the same chain that the Tsarnaev brothers bought components for their bombs that they used near the finish line of the Boston Marathon for the marathon bombing.
Yeah.
At that point, that's they had already been through this with that. These folks hang on to their records for a long time. They have an internal database. And they actually looked through it and said, maybe, as soon as they heard about the story, before they were even contacted by anybody to say, hey, look through your records, they were already looking through and going, okay, did this guy, because they have to show ID in order to buy the fireworks there in some states. And Pennsylvania apparently was one of them. So this guy already had his ID on file with the fireworks place when he came in to buy $7 worth of 20 feet of fuse. That apparently, like I said, has linked him to this. So it's a fascinating story about how they actually, immediately just kind of get into action whenever there's something like this to see if one of their stores was, where they bought a component. That's at foxnews.com. A couple of the other things is they found in that storage facility, apparently the investigators found a notebook, and this apparently guys were talking about other targets in New York as well, like soft targets, like a shopping center or things like that. They didn't name specific targets from what we understand. Was it like we're going to go to, Rockefeller Center or whatever like that. It was basically like, an area where there would be a lot of people to, I guess, to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, maximize damage, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we are at this point. But like I said, that story just dropped in the last hour, and it kind of gives a different perspective as to not just what's going on with the two men accused, but also how people have just adopted different ways of handling things in this, last 20 years, as we've seen these kinds of incidents happen. I think it's fascinating that other places have just sort of changed the behavior around, okay, let's see if this is anybody that came to one of our stores.
Yeah, it is interesting, and you mentioned the tie to the Tsarnaev brothers. I mean, nobody's pointing the finger at this company, though, and saying that they were somehow wrong, right? This is all legal stuff that they're selling. Yeah,
they maintain the transaction logs, and this was, if you like I said, if you look at the story, it's the interviews with like they said, the company's vice president. No, they're not being accused of anything. I think it's interesting that you have businesses and people who just sort of swing into action now when they hear something like this and go, okay, can we provide any help to law enforcement? I think that's an interesting thing that we're apparently now doing.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good thing as well. So I want to ask you, these seems to be, and obviously if they're buying supplies from a local fireworks shop, these seem to be hastily put together. I don't even think, and thank goodness, and I believe I'm correct on this, neither one of those bombs or explosives that were thrown near Gracie Mansion detonated, did they?
No, we can be thankful for the ineptness of the people building them, because these improvised explosive devices, and the NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch said these were actual live bombs, homemade bombs. They just didn't detonate. They did, go up. They looked at them. She said these were not hoax things. This was not just hey, this looks like a bomb, I'm going to scare everybody. These were actual things that, had they gone off, could definitely have hurt people.
Yes, and certainly grateful that didn't happen. Something you mentioned in the beginning that were two of these individuals were linked to ISIS somehow.
Yeah, they have been charged with an ISIS inspired terror attack evidently when they were, asked. I don't know if this was when they were being led away. I think there is the body cam video out there from some of the NYPD officers who arrested one of them. Somebody in the crowd asked why they had done it, and apparently this is in the criminal complaint against both of these guys in the Southern District of New York. One of them yelled ISIS into the crowd, after they were like, "Why did you do this?" So that is apparently a court document.
Okay, all right. Because I was going to say, if the government is saying we have links to ISIS, other than what they might be saying in that example that you just ran down, it would make me wonder what are they doing here? How did they get here? Why did we allow them in? Type of a deal. So,
I mean, I don't know that.
Right.
We don't know that they aren't citizens.
I guess they could be U.S. citizens, but boy, I'll tell you, that's scary. If we have U.S. citizens that are pledging allegiance to ISIS, I just assumed that they were migrants of some fashion.
I don't know I don't think there's been anything to say to give us that information. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen U.S. citizens with ties to ISIS or inspired by ISIS or radicalized in some way. I mean, that goes back a while. I haven't seen anything that can say that these are, to point to the fact that these people aren't from here. I don't know.
All right. Fox's Tanya J. Powers, please stay safe down there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Thank you. It was always good to hear from you. That's Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers. We'll take a step aside for a moment. I think we're about to get a call from Anne from Rome. She wants to comment on the situation in Iran. And we'll take some phone calls, comments as well. Coming up next hour, we'll be joined by a candidate for State Assembly. That's Mike Gentile. We'll also talk with Councilwoman Samantha Colosimo Testa about the ongoing budget discussions and I guess maybe negotiations. And there might have been an incident at a budget hearing last night. We'll talk about that as well. Is that Ann? All right, we'll go to Ann right now before we take our break. Right. Is that Ann from Rome? All right. We were talking about the situation in Iran with the oil tankers being on fire there and oil back up over $100 a barrel.
She wants to be known as Firecracker Ann from Rome.
Oh, the Firecracker. Yes. Good morning, Firecracker. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. I had chemo yesterday, doing well. I just want to say to all the people that said, open the borders, you get these crazies that influence people like the ones that have been going after the people in New York City, the two teenage bombers. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when they opened those borders, they made a big mistake. Everybody said, well, they get persecuted in their countries. Where's the Me Too movement? What are these women in Iran being treated like? Animals. I treat my dog better than these women get treated. So that's a bad thing. But when they come across here, it's a good thing to help them. I don't get that.
So as we were just talking with Tanya, I don't know about these two individuals, whether they were immigrants or if they were United States citizens. But again, we don't.
Right.
We live in a world today with all this tech. You can be radicalized by watching a YouTube video.
Right, but I don't think it helps when you have them here, because now we have to worry about the Iranians that are in this country that are going to come after us from opening the borders. Way to go, Joe.
That is Firecracker Ann from Rome. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of Iranians, former Iranians, or people of Iranian descent who live in this country who are happy with the United States over what's gone on and who would never do anything like that. And
I
let's be
traveled
honest,
with a girl that was Iranian.
The vast
she's
majority.
Wonderful. I'm not saying all of them, but you can't just let everybody willy-nilly come across the border and say everybody's good. There's good and bad with everybody, but those people should have never come across the way they were. Do it the right way. We have to follow their rules when they're in their countries. They have to follow our rules when they're here.
All right, that is Firecracker Ann from Rome. It's good to hear from you, and I hope you're doing all right.
I am. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
You too. That is Ann from Rome. So, look, obviously, that's one of the biggest problems with the border situation. When people were coming across, it seemed like 1 million at a time. I'll just speak for myself personally. I'm not against immigration in any fashion. We just need to know who you are. We need to know what your what your intent is, what you're doing here. That's why you can't just let people just sneak in. And as I say this, it was a reaction to Ann's call. As Tanya pointed out, we don't know if these individuals were American citizens of Iranian descent or if they came here legally or illegally at this point. We don't know that. So I guess when she said that they were attacking and it was possibly ISIS linked, I just assumed that they were not born in this country. But again, you can be radicalized from anywhere, and all it takes is a video online. So it is 6:58. We're about to wrap up this hour. We'll get a news update at the top of the hour, a Weather Center forecast as well. Coming up next hour, we'll talk about the most recent Utica Council budget hearing. I believe there was some type of a confrontation that occurred there. We'll also talk with Mike Gentile, candidate for state assembly, his thoughts on the ongoing state budget negotiations, and much more, and some Little League as well coming up.
Imagine this. You're coming down the stairs. You miss a step, but you catch yourself. And that's when you feel it. It's your knee, and it really hurts. Now you have to make a choice. The faster you see an orthopedic specialist, the sooner you'll be on your way to recovery. Choose Community Memorial Center for Orthopedics, now with a clinic open every Wednesday in New Hartford. You'll get fast access to world-class orthopedic care. We have imaging on site, and you'll be treated by Dr. Rochelle Takamoto. She's one of the most respected orthopedists in the area, and she's done more VELYS robotic-assisted surgeries than any female physician in the world. So whether it's a new injury or a long-term pain in any joint, walk into our clinic and get treated by one of the best orthopedic specialists in the area in the shortest time possible. That's Community Memorial Center for Orthopedics, with clinics weekdays in Hamilton and now every Wednesday at 83 Genesee Street in New Hartford. Visit Ortho Emergency.
WIBX Utica Road, W295 Utica. From the WB Tain Insurance Studios, your news talk leader since 1925. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now the latest from Fox News.
Day 13 of Operation Epic Fury. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop?
President Trump telling reporters on his way back to Washington last night he doesn't want to let Iran regrow as U.S. and Israeli forces keep up the attack. Earlier, at a rally in Kentucky, the president touted a release of 400 million barrels of oil from worldwide reserves,
which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world.
Meanwhile, oil prices are rising again this morning, up almost 4%. WTI $91 a barrel, Brent's 96 after briefly hitting 100 again, as Iran keeps targeting oil shipping, bombing 2 tankers off the Iraq coast, setting them on fire.
There were coordinated attacks by Iran's small navy that is left in the aftermath of decimating CENTCOM strikes against this country.
And Iran also hit fuel storage in Oman and targeted other Gulf countries. Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
The Israelis say just last hour they launched a new wave of strikes against the Iranian regime, hitting new targets across the country of Iran. This comes as Iran's largest proxy in the region, Hezbollah, overnight got more directly involved in this war. According to an IDF official that I spoke with, more than 100 rockets were fired over the border into northern Israel.
Now, they were shot down, and Israel went on the attack again in Lebanon. Days after a bombing outside the U.S. Embassy in Oslo, Norway, arrests.
The 3 suspects are brothers, Norwegian citizens with a family background from Iraq. A powerful early morning blast from an improvised explosive device damaged an entrance at the United States Embassy in Oslo on Sunday. A police attorney telling reporters that the suspects, all in their 20s, are suspected of a terrorist attack.
Fox's Jonathan Savage is also concerned about potential terror here. An FBI bulletin last week cites intelligence Iran aspires to conduct a surprise drone strike off the coast of California. America's listening to Fox News.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B? Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it Fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
The Senate may vote again today, trying to fund Homeland Security, but Democrats may block that again as they demand immigration enforcement reform. Most of DHS is unfunded, forcing essential workers to stay on the job without pay, though some TSA agents have not shown up, leading to long security lines at some airports. In the House, another deposition in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation.
The House Oversight Committee deposed Richard Kahn, who began handling Epstein's finances in 2005. Virginia Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw said he didn't find his lack of knowledge about Epstein's crimes to be credible.
If he was ignorant of Epstein's crimes, he was willfully ignorant of those crimes, given the depth of his involvement with Epstein and his finances over many years.
Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said Kahn testified there were 5 people in particular who paid Epstein.
What Kahn said is he was under the impression that Epstein made his money as a tax advisor and a financial planner.
Comer said one of the 5 names given was billionaire co-founder of Apollo Global Management, Leon Black, whom they plan to depose as well. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks may drop. Dow futures down more than 200 points. The quarterfinals are set in the World Baseball Classic.
Team USA's stunning loss to Italy on Tuesday in the World Baseball Classic forced the Americans to watch from home without controlling their own destiny. But the Italians did the U.S. a solid. Italy defeated Mexico 9-1 to win Pool B and send the Americans to the quarterfinals of the tournament as the group's second-place team. Vinny Pasquantino had the World Baseball Classic's first 3-home-run game after he opened the tournament 0-for-12. Mexico was eliminated from the WBC with the loss, while the U.S. will face Canada on Friday and Italy will take on Puerto Rico on Saturday. I'm Joe Morgan, Fox News.
The quarterfinal matchups, Korea versus the Dominican Republic tomorrow. Japan will take on Venezuela Saturday. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
We have mostly cloudy skies, 32 degrees, temps falling as we are now just at the freezing mark, 7:05. This news update is brought to you by Wendy's new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion. Try Wendy's new Girl Scout Thin Mints Frosty Fusion with Girl Scout Thin Mint cookie pieces for a limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's and Girl Scouts of the USA. Utica police have made another arrest in connection with what is described as a gang-style assault and the stabbing of a man on Mohawk Street over the weekend. Now, police say they've charged Aiden Diaz, an 18-year-old from the city of Utica, with attempted murder in the second degree, gang assault in the first degree, and criminal possession of a weapon. Police say information and evidence was developed, and they believe that Diaz is the responsible party for inflicting the stab wounds on the victim. Earlier this week, Utica police arrested 3 others, charging them with gang assault. Utica Mayor Michael Galimi announcing that applications are now available for federal entitlement funds that the city receives annually and makes available to local nonprofit organizations that provide services to low and moderate income families in the city. Those funds are made available through community development block grants, home investment partnership, and emergency solutions grants. Those looking to receive funding can fill out an application on the city's website. Galimi says based on recent congressional appropriations, the city has estimated it will receive about $2.3 million in CDBG funding for the 2026-27 fiscal year that begins on April 1st. The Utica Center for Development is organizing a fundraiser to support those with autism during St. Patrick's Day. The event is scheduled from 8 to 2 at the Veterans Outreach Center on Washington Street in Utica. All proceeds will go to the Better Together Center, which is located next door to the Veterans Outreach Center on Washington Street in Utica. And the owner of Sylvan Beach Amusement Park facing some legal trouble. WKTV has details on this story. State police saying Douglas Waterbury, a landlord in Oswego County, allegedly exposed himself to a person who was looking to rent a property. Police say Waterbury allegedly offered the victim money in exchange for a sexual favor, then tried to give money to the victim to withdraw the complaint. Police say their investigation into this incident began way back in June, and Oswego County grand jury was called upon. They indicted Waterbury on charges of attempted rape, attempted bribing a witness, and patronizing a person for the purpose of prostitution. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:08. Here's a look at your Weather Center forecast.
All right, this one's as complicated as it's going to sound. Flood watches stay in place. Winter storm watches kick in tomorrow morning through Saturday afternoon for the North Country. Just north of us, Lewis, Jefferson, Oswego counties, other counties, and through the Adirondacks. So a lot of change coming up with still the potential for some flooding, but a lot of the precipitation for now is tapering off to just a bit of rain and snow this morning, maybe some snow showers as we get into the afternoon. We're probably going to hover right in the low 30s all day with a gusty breeze. Tonight, cloudy mid-20s, and then the next storm approaches with snow showers potentially mixing with rain. Could see a slushy light accumulation here as we're near 40 degrees, but a better chance in the watch area of several inches of snowfall in through tomorrow night. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stitch at WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
We have cloudy skies, 32 degrees, and if you're a little confused, today's high was set to be 60 degrees. We hit that at around, 1 o'clock this morning. It was 60. Obviously, temperatures falling as we've gotten to this point, and we're going to stick at around 32, 33 degrees for your high for the rest of the day. Coming up tomorrow, as Ray mentioned, a high near 40, and there's a chance we could see some snowflakes over the weekend. Again, 32 degrees and cloudy skies at 7:09. All right, in sports, big story here is the Tisch family and what's going on there. Steve Tisch, a 23% owner in the New York Giants, was mentioned in the latest release of the Epstein files a couple of weeks ago. He had questions about a, quote, working girl. There was a woman that he met and at an event and asked Epstein if she was a, quote, working girl. Obviously a horrible look for Tisch, and certainly it casts a shadow on the Giants. Not that they had anything to do with it, but just his position as an owner of the Giants. He is asking the league to allow him to transfer his ownership stake to Lori and Jonathan Tisch, his children, and he would like to put that ownership in a trust in their name. So he's looking to detach from his position as a partial owner of the New York Giants. The Giants did make some moves yesterday. This one of these, anyway, was just an official signing. We told you about this on Monday, but the Giants bringing back wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, and they've also re-signed offensive lineman Evan Neal. The Baltimore Ravens make a splash after backing out of the deal to get Smitty, I need your help here. They had backed out of the deal to get Max Crosby from the Raiders.
Yep.
They've now got probably one of the biggest defensive free agents on the market, and that being Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals.
And he stays in the same division.
He does stay in the same division, absolutely.
Wreak havoc on Joe Burrow now instead of being on the same team.
Absolutely. He signs a 4-year, $112 million contract with the Ravens. He has 81 sacks in his 9 pro seasons, including 17.5 in both 2023 and 2024 with Cincinnati. Of course, General Manager Eric DeCosta said the team wanted to add both Hendrickson and Crosby, and said he is gutted that the trade for Crosby fell through. They backed out because he didn't do well in a physical, I think, and they had some concerns. But can you imagine that, Hendrickson and Crosby on the same defensive line?
That'd be one of the best offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah, no question about it. Some NBA news. The Knicks beat up on the Jazz last night. 134 to 117. Jalen Brunson had 28 points and 8 assists. New York snaps its 2-game slide. They'll take on the Pacers in Indiana tomorrow. The Nets are away for their next 2 games. Brooklyn visiting the Hawks tonight. The Nets hope to bounce back after a recent loss that prevented a 3-game winning streak.
The Buffalo Bills made a move on their defense yesterday, signing ex-Miami Dolphin, former Denver Bronco, Bradley Chubb to a 3-year deal worth $52 million.
You like the signing?
I like the signing.
Yeah, the Bills. Continue to hope the Bills can
And of
finally
course,
get over the hump there.
The DJ Moore trade came official yesterday too, and then they trade Taron Johnson to the Raiders for some picks. And of course, that's not the other story there in the New York news. Syracuse apparently has reached an agreement with an AD to take over for John Wildhack.
So, and I didn't mention this because the news broke at the end of the show, and we talked about it as we ended the show yesterday. But obviously, Adrian Autry was fired, given his walking papers late yesterday morning. And who do you think that you think it's going to be? The guy from South Florida, or possibly?
It's either going to be
Hopkins.
It's either going to be the guy from South Florida, Brian Hodgkins, or John Shear. His name is being thrown around. The St. Louis coach, Hopkins, Jerry McNamara. It's all open. But the Toledo AD is Brian Blair. He's coming in to take over for Wildhack. So, and they want to have a coach in before the end of the month because the INL begins the day after. The transfer portal begins the day after the national championship game.
Yeah, there certainly is some urgency to move quickly here. It is 7:14. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
The deals are exploding at Steed Pawnee Chevrolet in Herkimer. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your ride, now's the moment to move. For a limited time, we're offering supplier pricing for all on the powerful 2026 Chevy Silverado half-ton lineup. That's serious savings on one of America's toughest trucks. Take the 2026 Silverado Crew Cab RST four-wheel drive and save over $8,000 on a truck built to work hard and look great. Looking for something versatile? Lease a brand new 2026 Chevy Equinox LT all-wheel drive for just $329 a month for 36 months with 10,000 miles per year. Don't wait. These offers end March 31st. Silverado offer requires a 2012 or newer Chevrolet in the household. Equinox lease requires a current lease in the household, $3,000 down plus first payment, all taxes and fees due at delivery. Customer must qualify for top-tier credit through GM Financial. See salesperson for details. Stop in and see why it's always easy to do business at Steed Pawnee Chevrolet. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Brought to you by Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair, located in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, and Herkimer, and online at tallmanstire.com.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Hurt in a car? Call William Matar. 315-444-4444.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
When people turn to telehealth for weight loss, they're looking for real support. That's why more people are choosing Orderly Meds. Orderly Meds connects you with real doctors and access to proven GLP-1 medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide. No guessing, just a more supportive experience. And all shipped directly to your door in discreet packaging. Do your research, ask questions, then visit orderlymeds.com/radio for an exclusive offer. That's orderlymeds.com/radio. Individual results may vary, not medical advice. Eligibility required. See site for details.
Start your savings at Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Now through March 31st, get up to $170 back on a Firestone prepaid MasterCard. Get up to $70 when you buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires. Get an additional $100 when you make an eligible tire purchase with your Tallman's Tire CFNA credit card. Don't wait. These offers end March 31st. Visit Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, and Herkimer, or online at tallmanstire.com.
We're your neighbors, friends, and your family. We care about our community, your business, and most important, you.
We support charities like the United Way, McMahon Ryan Child Advocacy Center. We're the members of IBW Local 43 and NECA Contractors. You don't just see our work, you live it. From the JMA Wireless Dome, hospitals, schools, and city buildings, the IBEW is part of the community.
Central New York's future is bright, and the IBEW Local 43 and NECA will continue to help light, power, and grow Central New York.
Hi, this is Ray Durso of the Genesis Group. If you're interested in keeping up with events and news in the Mohawk Valley region, I have the show for you. It's called This Week in the Mohawk Valley, and it airs every Sunday on WIBX. Join us as we talk with area business leaders, elected officials, law enforcement, educators, and more. Don't miss This Week in the Mohawk Valley every Sunday at 9 a.m. on WIBX 950 a.m. 92.3 FM.
Hello, everyone in Central New York. This is Dave Letterman, your old TV pal. Remember me? I'm supposed to say something witty and funny here about Bill Keeler, but I've got nothing. Ever see a picture of this guy? That's a joke in itself. Anyhow, here's Keeler on WIBX.
All right, no Bill today. It's just Manaski and Uncle Smitty. It's First News Keeler in the morning. It is 7:18. Joining us now in studio is a candidate for State Assembly, a Republican candidate, Mike Gentile. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great. It's winter again, so that's not cool.
Yeah,
a little brisk, but we knew it was coming. Anybody that was like already getting their pool open was a little fooled. So
yeah, look. I had said I hoped that we didn't see any more snow. I didn't think it was likely, but it was just nice to get a nice little thaw. It was more than a thaw. Get rid of a lot of this snow, see the snowbanks come down. There was a time there, I mean, for a couple of weeks, every time you stopped at a corner, you had to like creep out to see if a car was coming. You really couldn't see over the snowbanks. So fortunately, that's gone now. Look, it's early March. Is today already the 12th? My goodness, we're almost halfway through March. But we'll get there. Summer will come, and we're.
But people were already playing baseball at Murnane, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, there's some college baseball.
Shows that turf that it's being effective. I mean, because we're really legitimately playing baseball games in March in Central New York, and that's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. As a matter of fact, our interpreter, can you pull that this way for? You can actually that hinge there. Get it? Just it's your. Thank you. Our interpreter for the Mohawk Valley Baseball Umpires Association, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but he was telling me, I went to a meeting on Monday night, and he had already 4 games, and I think they started like the last weekend in February, and they were playing on the turf at Murnane. So
no, it's really cool, and it just shows, when government works, it's going to provide things that are good for the community and things that are going to be beneficial for people for a long time. So
we're
excited for that.
Very excited for that. We'll talk assembly issues, but now that we're on this path, I got a couple more baseball things. I find it interesting, and I think I'm trying to make this point here that using turf is actually something that's going to not only help bring kids into baseball, but it helps with gameplay. You get true hops. When I say a true hop, I understand if somebody's out there like, when we grew up and we played, the field might be lumpy or the field might have some issues. It might not be in great playing position. You don't have the grounds crews that you have at the major league level that manicure these fields. I get all that. But the point I'm trying to make is when you have a routine ground ball to the shortstop and it bounces 4 times in 4 different directions and then hops up over his head, and the best player on the field looks like he doesn't know how to field a ground ball, it's not that much fun to watch and play baseball because, so you at least a routine ground ball bounces and runs like a routine ground ball.
Well, now even the turf is playing so real.
Yes.
I remember playing back when I was a kid. We'd go play at the Syracuse Sky Chiefs stadium, and that turf was like concrete. And, a ball was coming at you 120 miles per hour or bouncing over your head and stuff like that. Or if you missed a pop fly, it was bouncing and going to the wall. Now it's playing so real, and it's really been great to see that adaptation. I still feel that we need to make sure that dirt and grass are a thing, and that's
sure
baseball. But when we're up here and you have a weekend of 70-degree weather in March, you can play baseball games. When before it would be mud, and that field in general had a lot of issues for a long time just with drainage and everything else. But we're I go to these Little League Congresses and stuff, and I'm sitting at a table with people from California that started their season in January and are playing truly outside for 12 months of the year. So just having that and being able to provide, extra time for kids to play baseball is a really good thing. And actually, I did have one person I talked to, and they were like, well, we're kind of upset about it because now we're not going away because the turf's there and we can just play here in March instead of having to go to Florida. And we kind of wish we went to the Florida trip. So that was an interesting little turn of events on that one, but in tongue in cheek. So
another thing is too, and again, I understand it's difficult, but a lot of these natural fields are kind of lumpy, and it's difficult to get them re-leveled. And then anytime you have an investment in a field, it's several $100,000, if not over $1 million, to get these fields fixed up. And we end up relying on grant money. It's not like you can get like a community fundraiser to fix up a field anymore. The dirt that you need and all this stuff, it's expensive.
So in late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of these fields, we had big volunteer crews, and we had a lot of people, and a lot of these fields transitioned into a more expensive material and a more expensive thing, but it's also harder to maintain with all of those things. And now, a lot of times when I talk to somebody and they're like, we're going to redo a field, I'm like, all right, don't use that stuff. I know people are going to tell you to use that stuff, but you really should go to an easier mix that's going to help you maintain, have good drainage and everything. If you don't have...
You're talking about the infield dirt.
Infield mix and stuff. If you don't have people that are working it every day, you need to go to something that doesn't need to be worked every day.
Sure.
So, and like a field like Murnane had that stuff, and it needed to be, worked, and it had a crew and everything else, but, this is much easier.
Yeah, and I
miss the dirt stains, and I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there that are very happy with not needing to do that, pressure washing the white pants and everything else. So, but it's interesting. So I think overall, when we look at 10 years down the road, turf is good, but I'd like to make sure we have some grass and dirt somewhere.
Yeah, look, I'm with you, and I see there's a trend also where a lot of schools will do the infield is turf, but the outfield is still grass. Yeah. And there's several schools. Frankfurt's one of them.
Base paths, there's those typical problem areas are becoming more popular to be turf. So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, and I'll mention Frankfurt's field there. I had a game last year. I don't remember who they played, but it was it had rained the day before, and again, it was a situation where we're coming early spring, so the field's typically a little soggy, and you have wet spots and puddles, and there was a light rain during most of the game, and we played right through it, and there was never an issue. Obviously, the ball gets a little wet sometimes, so you have to change it out, but we were allowed to play on a field that I think had it been a natural surface, we wouldn't have been able to get that game in. So that's another consideration.
I'm not sure there's many people that have spent more hours on baseball fields trying to get them ready for baseball games, and obviously with a lot of good volunteers and people. And you know what? That's kind of fun to do at times too, but yeah, it's that balance, right? So it's a good thing.
So, all right, we'll jump off of this now. I don't want to get you on just baseball stuff.
I mean, I'm sure my ability to rake a baseball field is something that the voters want in Albany.
How has it gone so far, campaigning? Are you out getting signatures? What are you learning? How's it gone?
Out getting signatures every day. Response has really been great. Getting into neighborhoods that, I haven't walked, in that way before, and really reception is really good. A lot of great support out there. A lot of people that see my resume, see things that I've done, and see how that resonates and can support in Albany. Doing things. My kind of thing has been show up, listen, and deliver. Right. So, being able to, we did a farm tour. Went over to Donito Farms. Was very grateful for that experience. Just walking through and seeing, what that community is dealing with, and what I can do in Albany to help that. Some of the stuff is federal, but some of the stuff is state. Also hearing a lot, Marianne Buttonshaw's popular, and a lot of people are looking at who that next person is going to be, and understanding what she's been working on. She's been doing some great things with veterans, great things with farms and stuff. So really understanding where when I'm elected in November, it's not going to be a clean slate, building upon what the good stuff that she's done and being able to move forward. I think having an understanding of, projects in the county, projects in the cities that are going on, and not having to, start fresh with a lot of that stuff, I think is very important. And I think it resonates with the voter. So I've been very excited. I've been very successful. Nobody's turning me away. Nobody's slamming the door in my face and stuff like that. So that's refreshing, because that's not always the case.
Did you have some of that when you were maybe getting signatures in the city of Utica for a particular mayor?
No,
no.
I think people. I don't know. I hear, it's funny. I hear the stories from other people. They're like, "Oh my God, this is miserable," and I'm like, "I'm having a great time." It's interesting though. Nice weather is actually not good signature time. It's easier to walk, but everybody's out gallivanting and doing their thing.
Right,
so it's
walking the dog
it's
at the
not
park, cleaning the car.
It's not as easy to do. But no, it's been a good experience, and it's it reassures you every day that I'm in the right place, I'm in the right race, and it's the right thing to do.
You mentioned Donito Farms. Was that an organized tour, or you just went up on your own?
No, I reached out. It's the biggest farm in the 119th district, and they're obviously doing a lot of good things. And I just reached out and was able to have a conversation and just say, hey, I'd like to come up and see kind of the operation and pick your brain and stuff and what it is. And she was very willing to do that. So we spent probably a couple hours up there and saw the operations it's a cool thing, and people don't realize that her kind of first statement is if you eat food, this matters, right?
Yeah.
And that's obviously an easy statement, but in other parts of the state they don't see the farmland and they don't see that right in front of their faces. You go down to New York City, you're not seeing cows wandering around. So that's one of the things that as an assembly person I'm going to have to advocate for and make sure that they understand, why the things upstate matter and the farms matter and stuff like that.
And of course, when that's Terry Donito, who you're talking about. And it's funny because when I was working in Assemblywoman Buttonshawn's office, her farm tour included Donito Farms, so I had a chance to meet Terry there. And then she was actually, when I was at FedEx there, she was actually on my FedEx route. So I would deliver periodically stuff for the cows, and I would have a stop for the farm, and then sometimes a stop for the house. But I had a chance to catch up and talk to Terry several times. Obviously, they do a great job. I didn't realize that it was the biggest dairy farm in the 119th.
Yeah, yes.
And that's it's like 3 minutes from here. Do you remember what road it's on? I can't remember. I should know. I used to be on that road every single day. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but it's only a few minutes from here.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, so they do a great job over there, Terry and the whole crew. Let's talk for a minute about Tier 6. Actually, a family member of mine was talking about this. Is this Governor Hochul's looking to basically buy out of the program?
Yeah. So, we talked about this on my first interview here. We talked about, the labor shortage and Tier 6 is really causing a lot of issues because it's not the benefits of it and the retirement of it. It just isn't attractive anymore.
Explain for those who don't know what's Tier 6.
Yeah. So, the New York State retirement system has tiers. Tier 1 was was years ago, and every several years they create a new tier to adjust,
Which essentially lightens the burden on the state, right? So you get less of a benefit, I think. The retirement,
you have to work longer, and certain things like that. So there's a few benchmarks to it, having to work longer, the mandatory retirement age, what you have to pay in, how long you have to pay in, and stuff like that. Well, the private sector is accelerating faster than the public sector, right? So when we're teachers are a big one. So we have a shortage of teachers, and we're trying to attract people to this profession. And when we have a retirement system that isn't creating the best benefit structure, it's a less attractive position.
Sure.
And there's a lot of municipal things. And back years ago, you talked to my parents and stuff like that. They looked at municipal jobs not for the salary, but the benefits package was amazing, right? And we're seeing less and less of that. And then personally, I'm in Tier 5. I've been a teacher, being in municipal government, but in Tier 5, I'm never going to get to that retirement thing. But also when I was working other jobs, my 401k and my benefits were far exceeding what I was getting at the state level. So it's just something that we need to revamp, and it's been talked about for years. It was, Tier 6 was put in 2012. It was broken by a month later. Like we went into it knowing it was bad, and we really need to revamp it. And we look at 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, and we look at these things, and it's like we really need to make sure that we are making these jobs attractive to people, because they're the jobs that affect us the most. They affect our children, they affect our roads, they affect everything that we do. And there was a big rally down this past weekend down in the state. They sold out one of the arenas down there, and people were rallying against it. And Governor Hochul came out and was like, "We're gonna fix this thing." And it's like, okay, but let's do it, right? Let's really make sure. And everybody's gonna have to concede some things, and maybe it's not going to go to exactly what everybody wants, but we need to get somewhere that's going to be better.
Is part of this issue looking to buy people out of insurance? I have a relative who was kind of trying to tell me, who I believe is on the state pension system or the state retirement system, whatever you want to call it, and was saying that his union rep is coming to him saying what they want to do is basically you'd get $5,000 a year, and essentially he was told for his position, or maybe it's related to school, that it costs about, to pay the insurance premiums, it's about $19,000 to $20,000 a year for his insurance premiums. So they want to take away his insurance, but then they would supplement his income. I think he has to put in $1,000 a year for his own insurance, so he wouldn't have to do that anymore. Plus, they'd give him $4,000 cash on top of it.
Right.
Is that?
Yeah, listen. There's several factors, and obviously
that's part of this issue. Is they're looking to buy out of it.
Part of the insurance is definitely a thing, and we're seeing those costs. We're seeing healthcare costs go through the roof, and we're seeing people live a lot longer, which is a good thing. And there's a balance there, and we need to keep people in the workforce, and we need to make it attractive to keep them in the workforce, because we have a shortage. But we also need to have a situation where people want to enter that workforce, and the workforce in New York State to provide all the services that we need and that are essential to our communities.
Mike, I want to ask you as well. Hang on, before I ask you this, what's Lance got? Please ask Mr. Gentile his thoughts on his former boss. This was going to be my last question. Not willing to endorse him on a radio show yesterday, on this radio show, in fact. That indicates to me there is a lot more to the story. Okay, Lance has been beating this drum for a long time about what happened with your exit from the city of Utica. But I did want to ask you this. I was surprised yesterday. We talked to Mayor Galimi, and Bill said, you're going to be endorsing in the race, and he said after the primary. Yeah. Your thoughts on it? Does it bother you? You obviously have some type of relationship with him, or had one.
So the mayor gave the politically correct answer on the radio yesterday. However, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. There has never been a wider gap between two candidates on who is prepared to represent the city of Utica on day one. And if the mayor doesn't see that, and he needs to do his research, he better do it quick, because there is nobody more equipped to represent the city of Utica than I am. And if he can't see that right now, he better see it quick.
Lance followed up, the prior tiers fleeced the taxpayers. The retirement benefits have changed because salaries have blown up. Just look at some laborers in Utica and what they make now. That's a lot of overtime, though, my understanding.
Listen, and there's a balance. I 100% agree that there's a balance, and we need to come up with something that makes sense. However, we're making a lot of investments in a lot of things that aren't reaching the people. And if we are going to spend money to invest in labor, I'm a fan of it. Okay, so yes, there are definitely things in pensions, and there's a balance to it. But we need to invest in our labor force, and fixing Tier 6 is part of that. I'm not saying give everybody everything they've always wanted and they can retire after 5 years and everything else. And there needs to be a balance. But if we're going to invest money, labor is one of those things I'm willing to invest in.
Mike Gentile, candidate in the 119th, Republican candidate, and he will have a primary coming up against Dan Fusco.
Yes.
Best of luck. Thanks for checking in.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Good. Perfect.
That is Mike Gentile, again, as we say, a candidate for 119th. He's also the, correct, give me this title correct. You're the Little League District Administrator. Oh, grab his mic there. Little League District Administrator, and then what's the national position you got?
I'm then the Little League International Advisory Board.
Gotcha. Thank you. Good luck. I'll see you on the baseball field as well. We'll go quickly to the phone lines. Investigator Saheed Karsik with the Oneida County Sheriff's Office with details on our wanted person of the week.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Investigator Karsik. Please tell us about who we're looking for this week.
Yes, this week we're looking for Miss Vanessa Bennett. She's a white female, 38 years of age. She's 5'4", weighs approximately 145 pounds. She has blonde hair and blue eyes. We have a bench warrant out of Oneida County Court for her for 2 counts of felony burglary and 2 counts of misdemeanor larceny. On top of that, she has 2 more warrants, one out of the City of Utica Police Department and one out of the Town of New Hartford Police Department. And her last known address is in Whitesboro, New York.
All right, so anybody who knows this individual, Vanessa Bennett, or has information on her whereabouts, how do they go about getting that? Excuse me. How do they go about getting that information to you?
They can absolutely 100% submit an anonymous tip through Mohawk Valley Crime Stoppers if they choose to go that way, or obviously they can contact our Sheriff's Office non-emergency line or the Utica Police Department non-emergency line.
All right, they're looking for Vanessa Bennett. Saheed Karsik with the Oneida County Sheriff's Office. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And we will have more information on that wanted person of the week as we do each week up on our website at WIBX950.com. I apologize. In the middle of the question there, I had a sneeze. I knew it was coming. I just didn't think it was going to come so quick. Anyway, we've got more comments from Lance. We'll get to those as well. A couple of comments on Facebook I want to quickly address on Facebook. A couple of comments on our YouTube page that I quickly want to address from this morning. And we'll talk with a Utica councilperson Samantha Colosimo Testa about the ongoing budget situation in the city of Utica. Stay tuned for that. It's all coming up. We'll kick free money, because I don't want to cut Sam's time short. We will kick the free money question of the day into the 8 o'clock hour. How much money's on the line today, Smitty?
$200.
$200. We'll have your chance to win coming up next hour. It's First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
If you're nearing retirement, stop what you're doing and listen, because what's unfolding right now could hit your 401k or IRA harder than anything we've seen in years. Military escalation across the Middle East, a tariff war spilling into the courts, the U.S. dollar facing pressure that historically signals one thing: a flight to safety. Smart money has been moving into gold and silver, and it's not slowing down. Call Advantage Gold right now at 800-900-8000 and get your free gold investment kit, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's eye-opening book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty-free through Advantage Gold. The next news cycle won't wait for you. Get into position now. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Warner Sales and Service. Building relationships, building trust.
This is Lynn from Warner Sales and Service. Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. Hustler mowers are designed to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. Come see us at Warner Sales and Service on the Greenway New London Road in Rome, and we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget.
Don't overpay for your next mattress. Mattress Express is upstate New York's largest specialty bedding retailer. Bring in any locally advertised price on a brand we carry. We will beat the price. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS or go to mattressexpressny.com.
Brought to you by Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Located in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, and Herkimer. And online at tallmanstire.com.
Scott and Jill here from New York Sash. Okay, Scott, pop quiz. What does New York Sash specialize in?
That's easy. Premium replacement windows, low maintenance siding, beautifully designed baths.
Incomplete answer.
Why? What did I miss?
What's the first thing people see when they pull up to our house?
My smiling face?
No, the front door, Scott. We install premium entry, storm, and patio doors all over central New York.
I can't believe I left it off the list.
Well, since you forgot, let's make it memorable with a great door deal.
During the New York Sash March door sale, buy an entry door and get a storm door for free.
A beautiful new entryway protected by a free storm door.
And if they don't need a storm door, take $1,000 off that entry door.
Now we're talking a free storm door or $1,000 off.
Get started now at NewYorkSash.com or stop by our showroom.
New York Sash, window siding baths,
and doors.
Celebrating 100 years. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, it is First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX. Lance followed up to say it was a clear slap in Mr. Gentile's face that Mayor Galimi did not endorse him. As Mike Gentile said, it's kind of the politically correct, I guess you'd say, thing to do, because obviously if Fusco wins, he doesn't want to alienate him and start off on a bad foot with that relationship. So I guess I get it. I was a little surprised he didn't say more about him. All right, some comments on the YouTube page. Jawick this morning. Good morning, Jeff and Davey. Good morning, Jawick. How are you? Let me see here. Nick says it's not the same show without Bill. Yeah, no kidding. That's why we call it Keeler in the morning. Bill's the primary host here, and obviously it's not the same show when he's not here. We could run best of if you want, but if you want to hear Bill's voice, talk about stuff we discussed yesterday or the day before, I mean, we could do that. And then Jawick, I do have to disagree with something. He says he's from out of town, and let's see, where is the comment? I'm from out of town, and I came through Utica by way of the Parkway. Wow, what a mess. Probably waiting for the Boilermaker for a once-a-year cleanup. I don't think that's fair. I don't want to say every, but pretty much everybody in the Northeast, every community is a mess right now. We just had this major melt-off of snow, and when that happens, you see all the debris that's accumulated. You know, people throwing cups out the window, wrappers out the window, and all that stuff gets bunged up in snowbanks when the plows come through. And then when it melts off, you have these, piles of debris in parking lots and so on. So I don't think that's a fair way to judge the city or really any municipality in the Northeast when you get a major melt-off of snow at this time of year, because they're all messy. Anybody who's thrown a cup out the window or whatever, which is disgusting, and I wish they would all get the $1,000 fine. Don't crap on Utica because there's some debris in the snowbanks, etc. We go to the phone lines. Oh, this isn't Sam. This is Joe Lode. Okay. Hey, Joe, what's up? You got an on-the-road report.
Hey, just be careful driving this morning for that black ice, because it is, 30 degrees, which is at that tipping point where it could freeze up. And obviously the roads are wet from yesterday's rainy thaw season, and today we're back at it with a little dusting on the ground in Remsen, New York. And it's a little slick out there in spots. So just be careful. That black ice, it creeps up on you, and then before you know it, you're down and out.
Down
Hey,
and
I
out.
just wanted to touch base on the debris on the side of the road. I would like to thank all the litter bugs this past winter. I found $1.75 worth of bottles and cans, mostly Miller Lite, along the roadside, and I appreciate your efforts. So you keep them coming.
We don't want to encourage anybody to throw their beer cans out the window.
It's
Just
funny
drop them at
because,
your house. They can just drop them at your house.
Right. I'm going to put a bin out by the mailbox and say, please deposit here, because it's funny because when I turn off of Route 12 by Evans Equipment on Dayton Road, that's where it starts. I think it's the same route that you would go to the Utica campground. So there might be winter enthusiasts snowmobiling at the campground, whatever. I'm not blaming the campground. I'm just saying that route to the campground is always full of 5-cent return bottles and cans. And if you're out there hunting, hint, hint, that's a great area.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Joe, thank you so much.
There's always something positive, Jeff, out of something negative.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Although I can't think of anything positive when it comes to National Grid bills. No.
Yeah, I don't have anything positive to contribute there either. Joe,
no.
I just got my my latest bill, and it's the biggest bill I've ever gotten from National Grid.
Yes.
Just shy of $400. Just shy of $400.
I was $472.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It sounds like somebody's stealing heat or electricity from you. I can't imagine your bill is that high. I'm not doubting it, but something doesn't sound right there, Joe.
I mean, especially when I moved in 2 years ago, it started off at like 70 or 80.
Yeah, but that wasn't in the winter, though, right? That wasn't in sub-zero temperatures.
But I'm saying, yeah, it's creeped up ever since. I mean, the highest in the winter I had when I first moved in was 140. And I mean, now we're in 470s, you know.
That's insane.
I do have a freezer. I do have a refrigerator, but I do
most
have
people
a really
do, though,
nice,
too. Most people do.
Yeah. And my washer and dryer is the most state-of-the-art, energy-efficient one out there. It's the one that washes and dries all in one machine.
Joe, we should talk more about your laundry. We'll do that next week, okay?
Okay, excellent.
Joe Load checking in with his road report. He's up to $1.75 now in bottles and cans. Only if the Utica budget was $1.75. Boy, the taxpayers would love that. Good morning, Samantha Colosimo Testa.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. So, would you guys had a budget meeting or a workshop last night?
No, it was a special meeting to introduce amendments. I had introduced a couple of amendments about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks at this point in time. They called for a special meeting last Wednesday, and then at about 1:30 yesterday, we received 23 amendments. So, I mean, there really couldn't be much discussion. I sent an email yesterday morning at about 8 o'clock asking if there was any amendments to be submitted so that we could look over them, kind of get some information, give department heads enough time to look over those amendments. I mean, you called for a meeting a week and a half ago. You would have thought that, at least you given us the day before. But we didn't really have much discussion because nobody really knew what the budget amendments were and didn't really get that much time to look into the budget amendments.
All right, so where are you right now? Have you submitted any amendments, and are there any you want to highlight?
I submitted. So you also got to understand that when the mayor proposed his budget, about a week and a half after was the governor's announcement to give the city, an additional $3.6 million. So when that announcement came, the mayor had sent a memo saying, please, I would like to lower the tax percentage down to zero. And if you can, obviously this is how I would like you to do it. So, I had read his memo and so on and so forth. So I submitted a budget amendment to lower the amount of money that we were utilizing in fund balance, which was about $2.1 million. Obviously, using fund balance to supplement your budget wasn't good, and it's not good.
Yeah, it's not recommended for sure.
So that's one of the things that we did. We drew down the fund balance borrow down to zero, and then I submitted another amendment for about $1 million towards contingency. I know that there are contracts that are coming up between CSEA, Teamsters, police, fire. So you kind of wanted to set yourself up a little bit so that, you knew you had some money in there if those contracts were to settle. The other council people chose to take a different approach. There were 6 council members, obviously those in the Democrat majority, that submitted 23 amendments. In those 23 amendments, they took money away from stormwater. I mean, there were several amendments to draw that 2.9% down to zero. There was one amendment for an increase of $75,000 to safety gear. So obviously somebody's misspoke words cost the city $75,000, and they were able to justify that in a budget line. That was even after the mayor had made an announcement that they were using CDBG funding to the tune of $75,000 to cover that, which they have in the past. I mean, it's nothing new, but
that's new gear for the fire department.
Yeah. I mean, we've utilized CDBG funding in prior years, even in the prior administration for that. So, I mean, again, you would think that, the council would know this stuff, but unfortunately,
So you're saying,
select things.
And it's Councilman Lemetico had submitted an amendment for $75,000. Was that approved?
It was a full Democratic majority. So they all 6 Democrats submitted their names on each amendment.
And then
so
they obviously have the majority. So did that pass?
Well, no, they only were able to submit their budget amendments yesterday to the council. So, I mean, obviously now that they're submitted, you can go to a meeting next week and all 6 of them could pull their names out and it's veto proof and they could do whatever they want. I mean, that's the whole point, I guess, being in the supermajority. The only downside to that, like I said, was, really not, that's what I had asked them. I said, how come you didn't call Councilman Beatrice to see if he wanted his name on it? It's just petty, it really is. And unfortunately, the rest of the city suffers when.
So what you're saying is this $75,000 typically comes out of CDBG funding, which I actually just had a story this morning that there's a new round of funding available, and the mayor is encouraging people to apply for community development block grants. But typically, you're saying when the firefighters get new gear, this is CDBG funding that's used, and it's $75,000.
Not all of it. So partially is our budget, partial comes from CDBG funding.
Okay.
And that was explained because the mayor had submitted $175,000. He took $75,000 out because he planned on using CDBG funding towards that.
Gotcha. Okay.
So now the budget's over budgeted. We only needed $175 with the additional $75 on top of that coming from CDBG funding. So, like I said, there's some things that we got to work on, but at the end of the day, I think they've made up their mind, and it's crazy because you even have people running for higher positions, and everybody saying, oh, there's no party politics, and it's like, okay, all 6 of your names come on it. You didn't give any department head the time to come and look at these amendments. There are several amendments in regards to healthcare through HSA and HRA accounts. And we've had like a month of budget meetings with department heads and the mayor and, budget directors and auditors. And, everybody has been saying the same thing. And it's like now you've got, council people submitting amendments to the tune of $700,000 in regards to healthcare. And it's like we're self-insured. And it's very difficult to sit there and have to, continue to watch people, make the same mistake or submit these budget amendments knowing that these lines are specific to healthcare and what contributions the city is owed, through those healthcare, plans and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting week, and again, it's frustrating to see that, even with everybody saying the same thing, that the council continues to cut lines that need to be funded.
Like what?
Well, number one is they're cutting $117,000 in contractual obligations. And they say, well, that line was over, according to who? It's like, it's been explained to them multiple times that the police department transfers people through the, criminal investigation division back to patrol and so on and so forth. So 1 year that line might be under budgeted, but they'll have to transfer it to another line because those are contractual obligations. So last year they took away salary increases, and the salary line was short, $200,000 the last time I checked, approximately. So again, these things have to be paid. And it's just like, I don't know. I really, it's just, you kind of got to sit back and just watch the show go on because it's, it is what it is. I mean,
I'm sorry to say this, Sam. I've said this for years. I've said this for over 20 years. It's the best free entertainment you could find in this area. You attend a Utica council meeting.
Well, I mean, it is frustrating because it's like, how many times could you be explained in a way to not be able to understand what's being explained to you? You know what I mean? Like you had an outside auditor come in and actually go through the budget with you and explain to you like how those lines are being drawn down, you know, what financial position the city's in. And when the auditor tells you the city wasn't in a good financial position 2 years ago and it's on its way back to being in good standing, you know, without having to borrow $5 million to pay your bills, you know, through a revenue anticipation note, you know, you guys are trying to, you know, get back to that point where you're self-sustainable, and that has been done by fiscal responsibility through the administration, and it's just they can't see past the politics sometimes, and it really does eventually hurt the city, and has, and if it wasn't for, you know, some council people, you know, voting against a veto or something like that, the city would be millions in the hole even further, and it's just, you know, again, I appreciate, you know, the city advocating for additional, you know, funding through, you know, the state and, you know, getting that bed tax going and stuff like that. But, you know, the city's not out of the clear yet. And if that was the case, we wouldn't have borrowed $5 million, you know, a month and a half ago to pay bills.
So, Sam, I got about a minute left, and I want to ask you this before we run out. Somebody said to me there was some type of an argument, or I don't want to say altercation, but what happened at the meeting last night? Did somebody come up and approach you? What happened?
Yeah, so we were talking about budget amendments, and one of the council people was Miss Aiello. So Miss Aiello had said that, you know, she did not get the paving list and so on and so forth. And we have a computer in our council chambers, and the browsing history was left up. So you look at the browsing history, and it's like, okay, how'd you get access to this? How'd you get access to this? Like, why haven't other council people been privy to this information? And a majority of that stuff comes from the comptroller's office, like the Munis login. And there was some type of Tyler login. I'm not 100% sure. So when councilperson Aiello had said she didn't know that information, I had said, well, you know, if you look at the browsing history on the computer you were just at, it shows everything that you needed to see. And she's like, well, I didn't get the paving list and so on and so forth. So she gets out of her seat and she comes in my face and she's like, are you calling me a liar? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of hard not to call you a liar when the browsing history of the computer you're just on literally shows all the information that you need. And she couldn't quite understand that. I don't know if she got embarrassed that, you know, I had called her out because...
I got 5 seconds. So
yeah, no, and that's all that happened is, I mean, she followed me out of the chambers in my face screaming, I'm not a liar. And I don't know.
From the WB Paint Insurance Studios, your news talk leader since 1925. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now the latest from Fox News.
Iran keeps taking aim at oil. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, with more attacks today.
2 tankers off the coast of Iraq in the Persian Gulf were hit by the Iranians overnight. Some dramatic video showing these tankers on fire as the crews were reportedly evacuated with 1 person killed.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
We know that CENTCOM is going after many of the vessels that the Iranians have left in their navy, but they're still able to get off some of these attacks. Also further south in Oman, the Iranians used a drone to hit an oil storage facility. This is the largest in their country.
Iran's also attacked other ships in the Persian Gulf, and it's launched more drones into other countries shot down in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. As oil prices are rising another 5% this morning, but President Trump insists
oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war. That happens.
And the president told reporters last night, returning to Washington from events in Ohio and Kentucky.
Namely, they are absolutely being destroyed. Iran is being absolutely decimated.
And as U.S. and Israeli forces keep hitting Iran on day 13 of Operation Epic Fury, Israel's also continuing airstrikes in Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah, an Iran proxy, after Hezbollah fired another barrage of rockets into Israel, though most were shot down. A group of Iran-linked hackers goes on the cyber attack.
The medical equipment company Stryker, based in Michigan with offices around the world and 56,000 employees, is working to restore internal systems shut down by what's known as a wiper attack. Hackers deleted data and programs from computers, cell phones, and other devices after gaining remote administrative access to their Microsoft Windows operating systems. The logo of the Handala hacking group has appeared on Stryker homepages with the message, "No need to learn Hebrew anymore. You won't need it for much longer."
Fox's Chris Foster, also concerned off the California coast. An FBI bulletin last week cautions Iran aspires to conduct a drone attack. Governor Gavin Newsom wrote on X they're not aware of any imminent threats. America's listening to Fox News.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Convictions in Russia in a terror attack 2 years ago that was a massacre.
A group linked to ISIS claimed responsibility for one of Russia's deadliest ever terror attacks. 149 people were killed, more than 600 wounded, when 4 armed men went on the rampage at the Crocus City Hall concert venue in Moscow in March 2024. The attackers then set the building on fire. All 19 defendants were handed long prison terms of at least 19 years. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
An execution in Texas, and Cedric Ricks teared up just before getting a lethal injection last night. In his last words, apologizing for a 2013 double murder, telling a survivor of his knife attack he's truly sorry for taking his mom and brother away. That survivor was just 12 years old at the time and played dead as he was lying there wounded in order to live. In Virginia, a man was convicted of threatening President Trump again.
Federal prosecutors say between February and May of last year, Valery Kuznetsov of Reston, Virginia, made several threats on X against President Trump and other government officials, including posting, quote, "I murder all of you, including the president." According to the Department of Justice, the 41-year-old was convicted of sending the threats and sentenced to 2 years and 4 months in prison. Officials say he previously served several years behind bars after entering the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. in 2020 and making threats to stab the president, and later having his supervised release revoked when he was caught entering an area around the White House in 2023. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are falling this morning. At the World Baseball Classic, Italy advances.
What a night for Pasquantino. That one, I'm not sure if he got it all. Let's see. It's deep. It is gone.
Vinny Pasquantino hit 3 home runs, powering Italy into the quarterfinals, beating Mexico 9-1 on FS1. That also clinches a spot in the quarters for Team USA. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
We have mostly cloudy skies and 31 degrees. A flood watch remains in effect until 5 this evening. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaski, WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 8:05. Utica police have charged a 4th person in connection with a gang-style assault that occurred on Mohawk Street in the city on Sunday. Police say Aiden Diaz, an 18-year-old from Utica, is now charged with attempted murder in the 2nd degree, gang assault in the 1st degree, and criminal possession of a weapon. Police officials say information and evidence was developed, and they now believe that Diaz is the responsible party for inflicting stab wounds to the victim. That victim was later treated at Mohawk Valley Health System at the Wynn Hospital. The other 3 individuals who have been charged so far face single allegations of gang assault. Utica Mayor Michael Galimi announcing that applications are now available for federal entitlement funds that the city receives annually and then redisperses to local not-for-profit organizations that provide services to low and moderate income families in the city. Those funds are made available through the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Energy Solutions Grant. Applications can be filled out on the city's website, cityofutica.com. Galimi says based on recent congressional appropriations, the city has estimated it will receive approximately $2.3 million in CDBG funding for the 2026-27 fiscal year that begins on April 1st. Of that amount, up to roughly $350,000 will be made available for public services that are generally carried out by local nonprofits for programs that help senior citizens and youth. The Utica Center for Development is organizing a fundraiser to support those with autism during St. Patrick's Day. The event will take place from 8 to 2 at the Veterans Outreach Center on Washington Street in Utica. Organizers say all proceeds will go to the Better Together Center, which is located next door to the Veterans Outreach Center. And the owner of Sylvan Beach Amusement Park facing some legal allegations. WKTV.com reports that state police say Douglas Waterbury, who is the owner of Sylvan Beach Amusement Park and a landlord in Oswego County, allegedly exposed himself to a person who was looking to rent housing. Police say Waterbury offered the victim money in exchange for a sexual favor, then tried to give money to the victim to withdraw that complaint. Police say their investigation into the incident began in June. An Oswego County grand jury indicted Waterbury on charges of attempted rape, attempted bribing of a witness, and patronizing a person for the purpose of prostitution. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 8:08. Here's a look at your Weather Center forecast.
All right, this one's as complicated as it's going to sound. Flood watches stay in place. Winter storm watches kick in tomorrow morning through Saturday afternoon for the North Country. Just north of us, Lewis, Jefferson, Oswego counties, other counties, in through the Adirondacks. So a lot of change coming up with still the potential for some flooding, but a lot of the precipitation for now is tapering off to just a bit of rain and snow this morning, maybe some snow showers as we get into the afternoon. We're probably going to hover right in the low 30s all day with a gusty breeze. Tonight, cloudy mid-20s, and then the next storm approaches with snow showers potentially mixing with rain. Could see a slushy light accumulation here as we're near 40 degrees, but a better chance in the watch area of several inches of snowfall in through tomorrow night. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stitchick, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Did you hear that rain coming down last night, Smitty? Man, it was pouring pretty hard, and we had some nice wind gusts as well. Right now, mostly cloudy, 31 degrees, and a flood watch remains in effect until 5 p.m. All right, in sports, free agency in the NFL, it is actually official now. Some things we did not know about, though. The Buffalo Bills are bringing in a division rival's former edge rusher. ESPN says Bradley Chubb heading to Buffalo on a 3-year deal. The contract includes $29 million in guaranteed money. Chubb, who is 29, was released by the Dolphins and tallied a team-high 8.5 sacks last season. He appeared in all 17 games for Miami and originally joined the Dolphins from Denver via a trade in 2022. The Giants re-signing a pair of players on the first day of the new league year. Offensive lineman Evan Neal and wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins. The bigger story, though, is that co-owner Steve Tisch, Lori and Jonathan Tisch, are requesting to transfer their stakes in the team to their children's trusts. So this is as a result of the Epstein files release, in which Steve Tisch had some emails going back and forth with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. I think to remove any shade from the organization, he's looking to get his name out of the team, specifically Steve Tisch, and as we say, put that 23% ownership in the name of his children. NBA action, the Knicks were blown out by the Jazz 134-117. No, the Knicks blew out the Jazz 134-117 in Salt Lake City. Jalen Brunson had 28 points. The Nets are away from home the next 2 games. They'll play the Hawks tonight. The Nets hope to bounce back from a recent loss that prevented a 3-game losing streak. We told you this at the end of the show yesterday because it broke just before we got off the air. Adrian Autry is no longer the coach at Syracuse University. And then one thing I forgot to mention, it was a pretty big trade in the NFL. The Ravens do get a defensive pass rusher. That's Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson, a 4-year deal, $112 million. Hendrickson has 81 sacks in his 9 seasons. General manager Eric DeCosta said the team wanted to get both Hendrickson and Max Crosby, saying that he's now gutted that the trade for Crosby fell through. Obviously, Max Crosby, that was one of the bigger trades that initially was reported from the Raiders to the Baltimore Ravens. He had an issue with his physical, and they backed out of the trade. So the Ravens still do get their edge rusher, but it'll be Trey Hendrickson instead of both Hendrickson and Max Crosby. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 8:12. It's First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Brought to you by Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. located in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, and Herkimer, and online at tallmanstire.com.
Possibility starts with the right financial solutions from AmeriQ Credit Union. Get started today at ameriq.org/possibility.
Get a smile for every season at Rosansky Family Dentistry. For crowns to veneers, we'll keep you smiling all year long. We're also excited to welcome Dr. Kutaria to our team. With her arrival, we now offer Friday appointments from 8 a.m. to noon, giving you more flexibility for the care you need. Call us today at 315-732-1981 to schedule your visit. That's Rosansky Family Dentistry, 1 Paris Road, New Hartford. Find us on Facebook or online at uticasmiles.com.
80 years ago in Little Falls, a dream was built, one board at a time. Through hard work, honesty, and a commitment to doing things the right way, that dream became 3 generations strong. A lot has changed over the past 8 decades, but our promise remains the same. Quality materials and personal service you can count on. Thank you to our customers for 80 incredible years. Little Falls Lumber, built on trust since day one, and we look forward to serving you in the future.
You know that Chick-fil-A sells more than chicken, right?
Hello, my name is Jaleesa, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is how it's all of my favorite breakfast items in one good bite. That fluffy egg, that melty cheese with that perfectly grilled sausage. It just gives you that warmth, that comfort food that you love. It is the best possible option for a classic breakfast.
Comfort is calling. Order a Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit with Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Are you sick of being just a number or doing a mindless job? Become a craftsman in a trade. Become an IBEW electrician. The IBEW and the Electrician Training Alliance will give you all the tools necessary at their state-of-the-art training facility. Earn as you learn. Paid training while you get your certification. What are you waiting for? Become an IBEW Local 43 electrician. Call or go online today to learn more. Find your career at IBEW and let the Electrician Training Alliance light up your future.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. If you've missed the Kim Commando Show, you've missed a lot.
Yeah, they forced Claude to unlearn all the information it got from the pirated technology.
And it's a $1.5 billion landmark settlement. A reader from the current newsletter sent me a note. He put his name in. He made $6,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not bad for getting a free newsletter.
America's digital goddess. Kim Commando.
Saturday mornings at 10 on WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, we are back. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX. Bill is back tomorrow, filling in for now. Myself and your man, Uncle Smitty. We've got a couple doctors in studio here this morning. We're talking with Chase Kessinger and Z. Lynn. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Both are from Masonic Medical Research Institute, And before we get into this study about fatty liver disease and heart disease, first, a word about Masonic Medical Research Institute, what you guys do for those who don't know. I know you're located over in East Utica, right?
Correct. So we are a nonprofit research institute, basically looking at cardiovascular disease, but also looking at other things like autism, diabetes, and other metabolic diseases as well. That includes autoimmune diseases such as lupus, and then, I also study blood clots.
So this particular, what do I call it, an article, a study?
You can call it an article, scientific article.
You did some research about the links between heart disease and liver disease, and it was thought that there was a causation between the two, but I guess it depends on what other factors are present, right?
Correct. So you want to take that one?
Yeah, so the start of this study is we want to see if the liver fibrosis is a big reason causing heart disease. Actually, maybe that's one of the reasons, but not necessarily the truth. We found that with the fatty liver, the heart is okay. In our preclinical models, the heart is okay, and then that gave us a hint that even the liver has a lot of fat there. They're still okay, but some other factors like high blood pressure and high cholesterol in the blood, that may be the driver. Another hit to cause heart problems.
It was previously thought that fatty liver disease alone could cause heart failure or heart disease?
That's in the clinical side. It's not a totally causal. It's relationship. Fatty liver disease, fibrous liver is always associated with a high mortality rate in patients.
So talk about how you did this study and what the findings were.
The finding I wanted like the audience take away is the high fat diet is not the reason that cause heart disease, and is the heart muscle cells lack the fat acid. I think other components like fructose or cholesterol and high fat diet, those put together that cause real problems.
So not necessarily talk about what the most common sources of fructose and how this, I guess, adds on or becomes another comorbidity, another factor in heart disease.
Yeah, we have the fructose in the juice and Coke and syrups. Those the major resource for us to have this fructose.
I know this is like hypothetical, but if those beverages had just sugar instead of like a high fructose corn syrup, would that link still exist?
I think that will be another study we need to carry out.
Yeah, sure. So you can think of it as your body does need glucose, but obviously overdoing anything. So moderation is one of those things you hear probably from your physicians all the time.
Sure.
This study basically highlights that just the fat alone or having a fatty liver doesn't put you at serious risk of heart disease. It's everything plus that. And it's not like we can go through life without those things. It's just moderation of those things would, help us stay away from cardiovascular disease related, like you said, morbidities and other things like obesity, diabetes, those things you need to make sure to, take care of if you also have been diagnosed with, say, a fatty liver disease. Those are other important things to look at.
Can I ask what prompted interest in this, and how long does it take to conduct a study or to put together an article like this?
Yeah, this we started 2 years ago. It take 1 year and a half to figure it out. So we test the heart is fine, nothing happened to the heart, but the liver is really bad.
What prompted you to look into this?
It's just the major reason we do this is to find a good preclinical model to study this relationship between the fatty liver and heart disease. That's the major reason we do this research.
Yeah, and the goal is usually therapeutic intervention. So the more we understand the biology, the more people can design, drugs or other therapies that could help, the patient population.
Sure. What was it previously thought that just fatty liver would lead to heart disease?
Right. So it's always like, well, that should be something we're thinking about, right? But you have to go and prove out those things. So that's where this study comes in, and it's very specific timing as well. It's not like in a younger person or an older person. It's kind of like right in your middle-aged years is where we targeted it. So, liver disease, once you start having fatty liver, it can be reversible, but as soon as you go down the track a little bit too far, it becomes hard to treat as well. So we're trying to basically point out it's all three of those factors, fatty liver disease, sugars, and cholesterol that could also lead to heart disease, but it's not just fatty liver by itself.
Yeah, and when you say sugars, well, as you said, Dr. Lin, we don't know exactly if it's the high fructose corn syrup. How do I want to say this? If we replaced high fructose corn syrup with just sugar, I guess we would have to do another study to find out what the relationship is there.
Yeah, that's correct. The literature say is high fat and high sugar. That's the thing that really damages the heart.
Yeah. When you do a study like this, do you have people that you say, okay, listen, this is what we want you to eat, or is this information that's already been documented from patients? And do you have live subjects that you say, all right, listen, this afternoon I want you to go to this fast food restaurant and try this and do this, and we want to see how your body reacts to it? Or how do you do a study like this?
Yeah, so if we were clinicians, which we're not, you could try to control for something like that, but usually that's not the case. As you know, the human subjects and things like that, it's a very complicated life. You can't really dictate to them those types of things. So that's where we come in a very controlled study to kind of control those factors. But no, we're not actually doing to people, telling them what to do.
Yeah, have you seen McDonald's has the new Arch Burger? We want you to go try that. And so where do you get that information from? People who just submit what their diet is? You look at height, weight, and things like that. How do you come to this conclusion?
So our preclinical models are not basically in the clinics. So we are actually just controlling those diets outside of that.
Gotcha. What other things have you guys worked on?
Oh, we mostly work on the heart disease. This study tried to set up the...
I'm sorry, can you come a little closer to that?
Okay. This study is try to set up the relationship, see if the fatty liver is the driver for the heart disease. And then with the current preclinical model, we don't see that.
Yeah. How important is Masonic Medical Research Institute and the work that you guys do?
I mean, it is a place, most of us, when we first came over about 8 years ago, the Masonic Medical Research Institute has been around since 1950, kind of reinvigorated about 8 years ago. Z, myself, and a couple others have come over. We came from either Harvard, Yale, or those systems. And basically what we're able to do is do all of our research here in Utica. I say outside of the science, we're also training young scientists. So we have a summer fellowship program every year. We also take in student interns from the local high schools. So we're trying to get science, back into the thoughts and minds of everybody in this area. And the MMRI is serving that kind of goal of also training the next year's scientists and things like that. So
yeah, if people want to know more about, we're gonna have a gala soon in this April.
Yeah, April 25th we have the MMRI gala, which will be over at the 80K auditorium this year. So,
the Adirondack Bank Center there?
Yeah.
So that's April 25th. Is that open to the public?
Yes, ticketed.
Masonic Medical Research Institute having their gala on April 25th. And how do people go about getting tickets for that if they're interested?
I would say you could certainly visit us at mmri.edu.
mmri.edu. And then, guys, before we let you go, I know you said you came here about 8 years ago. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, where you went to school, and why you picked Utica to land.
Yeah, sure. So I got my BS from Texas A&M University College Station in microbiology. Got my PhD in cancer biology from UT Southwestern in Dallas. And then did postdoctoral research at Mass General Hospital, Harvard Medical School in Boston. And then met Maria, our executive director, Maria Contreras, and have been working with Jason McCarthy for a couple years. And then they came and said, hey, we got this place out in Utica. Do you want to go start a new institution? We're like, I'm not sure that exists. You don't really start new things like that. So My story is I asked Maria for a couple pieces of equipment because I'm an imaging guy, and she came back the next day and said, we got it. And I was like, well, where's Utica? So that's how we showed up. So, but it's perfect. Z and I both have, young families, and this is a great, community, perfect pace, no traffic like Boston. So it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, Utica is definitely underrated for sure. Dr. Z, a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I did my PhD training in China in Peking University, and then went to Boston Children's Hospital to do my PhD, which is very close to Maria's place. It's just across the street. So the same thing happened with Chase, and then that time Maria said, let's go to a new place and start a new institute. I say, okay, that's a good opportunity. I'll follow you. So that's why we come here.
Awesome. Dr. Z Lin, Dr. Chase Kessinger, we really appreciate you guys taking some time to join us and explain this article to us. And we can find that on the website as well,
yes.
Members of the public. Yeah, mmri.edu. And a reminder again, if you're looking to learn more, you can check out their website. But you can also attend the gala that's coming up April 25th with the Masonic Medical Research Institute. Docs, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
A quick timeout. We'll come back with more. It's First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Don't overpay for your next mattress. Mattress Express is upstate New York's largest specialty bedding retailer. Bring in any locally advertised price on a brand we carry. We will beat the price. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS or go to mattressexpressny.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Possibility starts with the right financial solutions. From Americu Credit Union. Get started today at americu.org/possibility.
80 years ago in Little Falls, a dream was built, one board at a time. Through hard work, honesty, and a commitment to doing things the right way, that dream became 3 generations strong. A lot has changed over the past 8 decades, but our promise remains the same. Quality materials and personal service you can count on. Thank you to our customers for 80 incredible years. Little Falls Lumber, built on trust since day one, and we look forward to serving you in the future.
If your investments are in a 401k or an IRA, then listen carefully. You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. The question is, are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs and legal chaos, the U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
All right, this one's as complicated as it's going to sound. Flood watches stay in place. Winter storm watches kick in tomorrow morning through Saturday afternoon for the North Country. just north of us, Lewis, Jefferson, Oswego counties, other counties in through the Adirondacks. So a lot of change coming up with still the potential for some flooding, but a lot of the precipitation for now is tapering off to just a bit of rain and snow this morning, maybe some snow showers as we get into the afternoon. We're probably going to hover right in the low 30s all day with a gusty breeze. Tonight, cloudy mid-20s, and then the next storm approaches with snow showers potentially mixing with rain. Could see a slushy light accumulation here as we're near 40 degrees, but a better chance in the watch area of several inches of snowfall in through tomorrow night. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stitchick, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
All right, we have mostly cloudy skies, 31 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaski, WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM news time is 8:32. Well, Iran is now warning that oil prices could reach $200 a barrel as the war with the U.S. and Israel continues. Oil prices were up in early trading this morning after news of 2 oil tankers that came under fire, suspected Iranian attacks in the Persian Gulf. Prices spiked briefly, again over $100 this morning. That's $100 a barrel, and have since dropped back down into the 90s. Meanwhile, gas prices here at home continue to rise. The national average for a gallon of regular fuel jumped overnight to $3.59 a gallon. That's according to AAA. 1 week ago, the national average was at $3.25. A month ago, we were paying an average of $2.94 across the United States. Officials are downplaying the alleged threat of an Iranian drone attack on the West Coast. The FBI reportedly warned California police officials about Tehran targeting the West Coast to retaliate for U.S. attacks on Iran. Law enforcement sources now tell multiple outlets there was no specific threat to trigger the alert. 2 new polls say Americans are rationing medicine and postponing retirement so that they can afford health care. About 1/3 of the adults who responded to a new Gallup poll said they had to make compromises to afford health care, including rationing their medicine. In a second poll, about 1 in 10 adults said they put off retiring because of health care costs. President Trump will be hosting an event today for Women's History Month. The White House says the event will honor historic and current female Americans and celebrate the tremendous impact that women continue to have on our nation. Trump signed an executive order last year to proclaim March as Women's History Month. Ozzy Osbourne's granddaughter is being named after him. On Wednesday, Jack Osbourne posted a video on Instagram of the new baby girl that he and his wife, Ari, welcomed last week. The 7-pound girl was named Ozzy Matilda Osbourne after her rock star grandfather, Ozzy, who died last July. Moody's is downgrading New York City's financial outlook. Moody's, one of the world's most important credit rating agencies, is attributing its outlook downgrade to New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's plan to use $1 billion in New York City's rainy day fund to help plug a $5.4 billion hole in the projected budget. And Smitty, are you familiar with country music singer Colter Wall?
No, never heard of him.
Colter Wall. He is canceling his 2026 tour, citing mental health issues. Wall announced on Wednesday that remaining shows on the Memories and Empties tour are canceled and that ticket holders will be refunded. He also said he's been pushing himself despite being mentally unwell, and continuing to push through this concert tour is only making things worse. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 8:36. We already hit your forecast right now. Cloudy skies, 32 degrees. And again, flood watch is in effect until 5 this evening. We'll take a quick time out, come back with more. We're still scheduled to be joined by John Decker. We'll get the latest from the White House and his thoughts on the situation in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. That and much more. We'll take some comments as well. It's First News, Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
If your investments are in a 401k or an IRA, then listen carefully. You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. The question is, are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran, tariffs in legal chaos, the U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. History is clear. When this much uncertainty hits at once, the investors who moved into gold and silver first came out ahead. Right now, Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Thousands of Americans have already rolled over a portion of their 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver, completely tax and penalty free through Advantage Gold. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Utica and the Mohawk Valley, do not overpay for your next mattress. Mattress Express is upstate New York's largest specialty bedding retailer. Take advantage of our guaranteed lowest price program. Bring in any locally advertised price or quote on a brand we carry. We will beat the price. Furthermore, if within 90 days of purchase you see that mattress advertised for less, bring it to our attention. We will refund the difference. Selection, no one in New York State has all these brands under one roof except Mattress Express. Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy, Purple, Puffy, the Smart Bed by Instant Comfort, Posh & Lavish, Therapeutic, Simmons Beauty Rest Black, Serta, Eye Comfort, Avocado, and more. On New Hartford and Commercial Drive next to Pet Supplies Plus. In Oneida and the Glenwood Plaza by the movie theaters. And Rome on Black River Boulevard. Open 7 days a week. Go to mattressexpressny.com. Call 1-800-NEW-BED.
Start your savings at Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair. Now through March 31st, get up to $170 back on a Firestone prepaid MasterCard. Get up to $70 when you buy a set of 4 eligible Firestone tires. Get an additional $100 when you make an eligible tire purchase with your Tallman's Tire CFNA credit card. Don't wait. These offers end March 31st. Visit Tallman's Tire and Auto Repair in Utica, Yorkville, Rome, and Herkimer, or online at tallmanstire.com.
Hurt in a car? Call William Attar. 315-444-4444.
The Potting Shed Antiques in Whitesboro is buying silver, gold, gold-filled, vintage costume, estate jewelry, and U.S. and Canadian coins. They've been your hometown buyer for over 50 years. While other gold and silver buyers claim to offer the highest prices, the Potting Shed Antiques actually delivers. Let Don Hartman take a look at your individual pieces or your entire collection. The Potting Shed Antiques, open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Please call ahead for an appointment. Visit thepottingshedantiques.com.
Celebrating 100 years. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, we're back. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM. And, of course, we are streaming live on YouTube as well. I want to get to some of the YouTube comments. Some of these make me chuckle. Where's Bill? At an LGBTQ convention this morning? No, he's taking care of something medically, so let's not joke about that. Ja Wick says, Jeff, what you said about the cleanup in Utica would hold water if it was true. For those who are just joining us, essentially, Ja Wick said he's not from Utica, but he happened to drive through the city yesterday via the Parkway, and he said the city was a mess. And what I was saying was, in a lot of communities, if you drive through at this time of year when you get a massive snow melt, what happens is when the plow trucks come through, whether it's in a parking lot or on the road, any debris that's on the road, even piles of dirt, get all caught up in that, and they get embedded into the snowbank. So, I mean, go to your local grocery store or a national chain grocery store, and when you go in the parking lot, they have these giant snowbanks, and what you get left with is this pile of debris. So I guess the point I was making was that if you see additional debris more than normal, it's because we've had this massive snow melt off, and a lot of, whether it's wrappers or bottles and cans, that stuff was covered by snow. You didn't see it before, but obviously you can clearly see it now. And people aren't out picking up debris during the snow season, during the winter season, and the back end of fall. So I don't know. Anyway, he says, Jeff, what you said about the cleanup in Utica would hold water if it was true. The parkway is a mess year-round, never mowed, and a mess year-round, except Boilermaker Week. Excuses. Listen, we're all entitled to our own opinion. That's fine. Nick says, I'm with Jeff about the parkway. Ja Wick says the city cleanup is slow, not to all. The city cleanup is slow to not at all. They select portions and center on them, and the parkway is not one. Let's see. There was a couple of comments here that I wanted to get to. Streets by the Dinghy Bar are spotless. So obviously that's a comment that the city's DPW commissioner, who owns the Dinghy Bar, there's an allegation there. Some of these are pretty entertaining. Always an awesome show with Davey and Jeff. Thank you, Ja Wick. Here's what I wanted to get to. Davey is neutral. Jeff has been converted. I've been wanting to address this for a couple of days. And where's the comment that I've been brainwashed? Hang on, I want to read that one as well. Mowed 3 times a year. There's a lot of comments on here. We appreciate that, guys. We appreciate the comments and the ongoing discussion. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube page, check it out, because some of these comments are pretty entertaining. All right, I can't find it now, but essentially the comment was that Bill is a liberal and I've been brainwashed. Look, I think I'm critical of President Trump when he deserves it, frankly. And one of the big issues, and I'll read this again, I can pull it up and read it again. And I mean, you can tell me if you think this is a little off the wall, and I certainly do. Let me see. Trump Armageddon in Iran. Here we go. This was 2 days ago, 18 hours ago. Okay, 3 days ago. Let me see if they're going to have the full quote in here. What I was reacting to, and I did get a lot of negative feedback from people saying that I was, I guess, brainwashed, converted. I've switched sides now. We were telling American troops that as part of God's divine plan, President Trump had been anointed to spark the signal fire and bring about Armageddon so that Jesus would come back down to earth. And then I guess we would have the, I'm forgetting the word right now. What's it called? The firmament? No, not the firmament. That's allegedly the ice barrier in the sky. No, what is it called? I can't think of what it's called, but essentially it's when Jesus takes all of the good Christians and takes them back up to heaven, and the rest of us have to stay here and battle it out for 7 or 8 years, and then maybe we can earn our ticket to heaven. Look, believe whatever you want to believe. But my point was the idea that President Trump was anointed by Jesus to spark the signal fire and bring about Armageddon is extremely scary, and I don't want anything to do with it. When he's talking about Armageddon, we're talking about World War III, the end of the earth. I'm not ready for that, okay? Maybe you are, but I'm certainly not ready for that, and I don't think Trump was Look, you want to say Trump's a good leader, a bad leader? Wherever that falls, wherever your opinion is, that's fine. I'm not criticizing that. You like what Trump did in Iran? You don't like what Trump did in Iran. That's fine. What I was questioning was that we are telling troops that Trump was anointed by Jesus to bring about the end of times, essentially. And that's extremely scary and a bit nuts. And I continue to feel that way and believe that. Is that Decker or is this a caller? I hope someone wants to weigh in on this and tell me why I'm wrong. But if you think that that's a good message or a conversation we should have about President Trump and the United States bringing about World War III and the end of Earth, I don't think that's a good thing, and I stand by that. I absolutely stand by that. Chuck Lester is weighing the rapture. Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate that. The rapture is the word I was looking for. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chuck. They want to come on? Oh, it's Wayne. Hey, good morning, Wayne. How are you?
It's Wayne.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, my dog's going to start barking. She barks at every Jeff truck. I mean, FedEx truck. Did you get a chance to look at the guys from the Italian team of the World Baseball?
Well, I looked it up. They didn't look overly. Maybe I didn't look close enough. All I saw was Francisco Cervelli was making espresso in the dugout.
All I know is their first baseman is like does he play for the United States at all? And now he's over there playing for them? Because this guy will probably be in the United States soon if he isn't already. That guy is awesome, their first baseman.
Let me see
he hit
here.
3 home runs last night.
Smitty, do you know anything on this guy?
What, the first baseman
Everybody's
from
shying away from watching that. I'll tell you what, that's good baseball. It is good baseball, and it's quick.
the first baseman from Team Italy?
Yeah, Vinny Pasquantino.
I don't think he's on an active roster right now.
He's a beast. I'll tell you what, when he hits a home run, it looks like the ball's going to smash into pieces and it's going to go out of the stadium. He hits like powerful home runs.
Yeah, he had 3 home runs last night, which is a record for the World Baseball Classic, which isn't that old. He actually plays for the Kansas City Royals, and he is the team captain and obviously a key power hitter for Team Italy.
Yeah, he's definitely awesome to watch. Their pitchers that they have, Jeff, I'm telling you, they're just short of being like Hulk Hogan armed, like they're huge.
I got to check this
they're
out.
Just huge. You have to look. And they're going to be playing, I don't know who they're playing. I just know that they're going into where they would have their little round-robin playoff thing, and the United States made it in because they beat Mexico. The United States, squeaked in. So it's going to be good to see if they play each other again.
So Friday, Korea plays the Dominican Republic. Team USA will play Canada. That is an 8 o'clock start on Fox, the USA game. Saturday, we've got Puerto Rico and Italy, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then Venezuela against Japan, and those are the 8 teams that are still remaining, and then we go to the quarterfinal round or the.
You guys gotta watch. You gotta watch it. And
I'll check
Jeff,
it out.
On your political stance, I think that you're pretty even on how you call it. You call it down the middle.
I try to, yeah.
You do. You call it down the middle.
Well, here's what it is. Here's what it is. Wayne, and I appreciate the phone call. We have some people, and again, feel however you feel. But any criticism of Trump is like, oh, it's betrayal. I can't believe it. Oh, you're a liberal. You're so far left. Which, by the way, I have to make a comparison here because I do try to consume all types of media. And I heard his name is Cenk Uygur, and he's on an internet show. It's called The Young Turks, and they are very progressive, and they are left. I try to take in all perspectives here. As I form my opinion or what my perspective is on things. And he was making this point, and it's not about Trump. And as a matter of fact, they do say some nice things on this very progressive left-wing show about Trump and the things that he's doing, okay? And then other times they're very critical of him. But he has quite a following, this Young Turks program, and he was making the point about the Biden administration. When he would talk to people, and he said there were other people who are considered Democrat or even far left who echoed this to him when he would share his story. When he would talk to people in the DNC about who the candidate was going to be to run against Trump in this last election in 2024, he said he would get verbally attacked by them if he said anything like, "Hey, we don't know if Biden." There's something going on there. Biden's not Biden. And, should we be looking at other candidates? And they would go, "You're for Trump. You're pro-Trump. You hate the Democrats. You claim to be progressive, but really you're pro-Trump." And the point I'm getting at is that any criticism of Biden or his candidacy, they were automatically labeled as, "Oh, you must be pro-Trump. You want Trump to win." That's what it is, as they were anti-Democrat. Okay, and I'm just cautioning people who are pro-Trump that sometimes when there's criticism of our president of the United States, Donald Trump, if there's any criticism at all, telling those people, "Oh, you must be a liberal now. You've been brainwashed. Oh, you're a liberal." You look like the nut job, not me. You look like you're nuts. Everyone knows it. All right, it's 8:50. We'll be joined by John Decker in a minute before we wrap up for the day. A quick timeout. We'll come back with more. I'm sure we'll get plenty of comments on this as well. And if time allows, I will share those too. It's First News Keeler in the Morning on WIBX.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ROAD to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ROAD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ROAD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's hard to know what to do when you lose a loved one. You need someone you can trust to help you navigate all the options. Mohawk Valley Monuments has been providing comfort and delivering quality memorials in our community for over 95 years. Mohawk Valley Monuments has experience with all the local cemeteries, from simple grave markings to intricate family mausoleums. For personalized service, call us today at 315-724-7629 or visit us at mohawkvalleymonuments.com.
Americans are paying more for home and auto insurance, and many are asking what can actually bring those costs down. American Property Casualty Insurance Association President and CEO David Sampson says inflation and disasters play a role, but addressing legal system abuse is a key part of the solution.
Excessive legal costs drive insurance prices higher. States that reduce legal system abuse are seeing stronger markets and lower rates. Addressing these costs help protect consumers.
Learn more at apci.org/insurance.
Hi, Billy Mays here with the brand new Keeler Kill Switch. When that morning show starts yapping about something you can't stand, don't reach for the dial. Just press this big red button and BAM!
This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, we are back. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX. Lance chiming in here as well. This is going back to the Samantha Colosimo Testa segment. He said, I actually agree with her, which is rare for Lance to do that. Jack, being Jack LaMedico, is trying to bribe the fire department for forgiveness. And what she was saying was that there was $75,000 included in a budget amendment for gear for firefighters, and what Councilperson Testa was saying is that funding for that gear is typically comes out of community development block grant funding. So it's not something that taxpayers pay for anyway. But by including an amendment for $75,000 for funding from the budget, it's something that the taxpayers would end up paying for. That was the comment there from Lance, actually, for once, agreeing with Samantha Colosimo Testa. Steve Colenso says, Jeff, when Bill got on you a couple times about Trump, you did tone it down about your pro-Trump views. Look, I support whoever the president is. I want success for the president of the United States. And Tony says that's why I call them Whoopi Keeler and Jeff Behar. Oh, very funny. Yeah, I'm Joy Behar. That's good, Tony. So I hate to be in a position, I'll be honest with you, on a lot of these topics where I'm defending Trump because he says things that are frankly off the wall sometimes, and he's very unholy. But yeah, I hope he succeeds and I hope he does well. And I know that's not true for some members of Congress, frankly, because their Trump hatred has gotten so out of control. They would rather see the country fail than see Trump do well and it be a good thing for all of us. So I think that's the truth, absolutely. But I hate being in a position sometimes where if Bill says something about Trump and then I clap back with what seems like defense, I mean, I'm trying to give the other side of the coin, but I try not to be in a position where I'm defending a candidate like some people do. Some of these, you have people who have Trump derangement syndrome, and as Keeler says, there's also people with Trump delusional syndrome, where everything he does is great. He never does anything wrong, and he's the greatest thing ever. And you even have, even members of the administration coming through saying, yeah, Trump's been anointed by Jesus to start World War III and Armageddon. You think that's a good thing? I at least have spine enough to stand up and say, yeah, that's probably not a good thing for all of us. It's probably not a good thing to have the end of the world and have Armageddon come. Anyway, Jeff doesn't have the Fed's job to fall back on anymore, so he has to be careful with Bill. Here's another thing too. That's another thing. Let's see. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. My employment here is part-time. But it's not contingent on Bill. It's not contingent on Bill. So, look, maybe Bill can advocate for me to get fired. Maybe he could. Maybe management would say, okay, yeah, if Bill doesn't want him, let's get rid of him. Maybe. But I'm not going to just agree with Bill because I don't want to lose my couple bucks they pay me a day here. I'm telling you, folks, it's not very much. If he says he doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds me, if the money I got was what was feeding me, trust me, I'd be about 50 pounds lighter than I am right now. And that would be a good thing for all of us, probably. Do we have John Decker on?
No, apparently we don't have John Decker.
All right, we might not get John Decker today. I was curious to hear his thoughts about the situation in Iran. And I do have to say, I find John Decker to be one of the fairest and most straightforward people who cover the White House. He's the only lawyer in the White House corps, and we are lucky to be joined by him each and every week, except for this week, apparently. Something they found, Smitty, would you do this? Do you ever do yoga?
I would try it if
so
someone...
you've never done it?
No.
It's good. It gets the blood flowing. Now, they're going to say I'm Jeff Behar now because I'm doing yoga. But I don't do yoga. I've tried it. It is good to get the blood flowing, especially in those cold winter months where you don't want to go outside or move too much. At least stretch, get the blood flowing. So snake yoga is now a thing in Portland, Oregon. A reptile shop called Hiss is hosting a yoga class where pythons and other reptiles slither around on the ground around you, and I guess sometimes on top of you, while you stretch. Some people do it because they say they love snakes. Others come to face their fears. Here are some participants talking about it, and this is audio from an actual class. Others come to face their fears. Oh, hold on. We're getting some feedback on the audio. All right, Smitty, we're ready now. Here we go.
I'm a reptile girl, so we're here for the snakes.
I've never hung out with a snake, and I'm super excited to hold one or touch one.
Inhale, come up, mountain arms, wave your arms in the air, say, hey, Gemma. Gemma is one of my favorite snakes in snake yoga.
It's just a different vibe. This is like super relaxing and calming, and especially the big snakes on you.
Yeah, those left coast folks are a little different, I guess. Snake yoga. I don't like that. Let's see. I'll leave you with 5 random facts for Thursday. We'll see if any of these are good. About 3% of births in the United States result in twins. St. Lucia is the only country in the world named after a real-life woman. It was named after St. Lucy of Syracuse by the French, who were the island's first European settlers. Half of your ice cream is...
non-dairy.
Air.
Air?
Air.
Oh, wow.
That's what they're saying. Some of the names Disney considered for the 7 dwarfs include Chesty, Tipsy, Jumpy, Dirty, Sleazy. I thought Sleazy was one.
Smitty.
Smitty. And Awful. And the necktie was invented in Croatia. Their troops wore them as part of their uniforms way back in the 1600s. We're out of time today.
Have a great day, folks.
You too. Hopefully nobody gets impacted by the flooding. We're back tomorrow morning with Keeler.
WIBX Utica Road, W295 Utica. From the WB Tate Insurance Studios, your news talk leader since 1925. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM. Now the latest from Fox News.
Iran keeps fighting back on day 13 of Operation Epic Fury. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
The war itself is being prosecuted as well as anybody has ever seen. And this is other countries telling me too.
And President Trump also tells reporters returning to Washington last night, most people think we've already won. It's just a question of when we stop. Earlier at a rally in Kentucky, the president touted a massive release of 400 million barrels of oil from worldwide reserves. He says it'll bring prices down.
My administration, as you know better than anybody, is also working to keep the oil flowing. It's flowing all over.
But oil prices are rising again today, up almost 7%. Brent crude almost $100 a barrel again. again, while gas is up another 2 cents. The price at the pump 61 cents higher than before the conflict.
As the United States and Israel continue to hammer the Iranian regime, the IRGC is still launching attacks in the Persian Gulf overnight, targeting 2 oil tankers off the coast of Iraq. Reports indicate at least 1 person was killed.
And Iran set fire to a fuel storage facility in Oman, while also attacking other cargo ships in the region and firing drones into other Gulf countries. Fox's Trey Yingst also reports from Tel Aviv.
The Iranians also launching ballistic missiles overnight against Israel, but it was their key proxy Hezbollah in southern Lebanon that drew headlines overnight. Hezbollah launched more than 100 rockets over the border into northern Israel. The Israelis hammering Lebanon with airstrikes overnight, not just targeting the Dakhia neighborhood of southern Beirut, but going after Hezbollah storage facilities and rocket launching positions across the country.
And Fox's Aisha Hasni reports from the White House there's also some new concern about Iran aspiring to maybe carry out a drone attack here.
The FBI sending out an information bulletin to local law enforcement containing some unverified information about a potential surprise attack off the west coast of the homeland, specifically targeting California.
But Governor Gavin Newsom posted on X there is no imminent threat at this time. America's listening to Fox News.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.